Chapter 108. Number 3 Shanshuiyuan, Yulin's Manor. A group of A-rank martial artist instructors were also looking at a virtual projection of the heaven list. When Jiang Xi's ranking stopped at the 49th place on the heaven list, everyone was silent for a while. Then, with complicated expressions, they congratulated Yulin again. At this point, basically every instructor was more or less jealous of Yulin. They were all thinking, why don't I have such a good student? Don't congratulate old Yu yet. Has anyone informed Deacon Lu Kuei and the elders? One of the instructors asked. Only then did everyone realize that they hadn't been informed. If the higher-ups didn't know about such a big thing, it wouldn't look good. Yulin was Jiang Xi's teacher, so everyone decided to let him inform the higher-ups. After a while, Yulin put down the phone and said to everyone, Deacon Lu and the elders already know. He asked me to bring Jiang Xi to me first. All the instructors nodded slightly. They understood Lu Kuei's intention. This was to let Yulin protect Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi's performance this time could no longer be described as simply a genius. Not only did they have to guard against people who had bad intentions towards Jiang Xi, but they also had to guard against other martial artist forces poaching him. Then hurry up and contact him, an instructor urged. Yulin tried to contact Jiang Xi, then shook his head. Jiang Xi blocked the communication signal. Everyone looked at each other and then sighed. Very smart. Yeah, not contacting anyone. Not only can he avoid being disturbed this way, but he also doesn't have to face those martial artist forces who want to rope him in. After all, if he rejects too many people, he will always offend people. This kid not only has great martial arts potential, but he also has a way of dealing with people. Hearing everyone's sighs and praises, Yulin only smiled. He was sincerely proud of Jiang Xi. At the same time, he was also wondering how much the higher-ups would pay to keep Jiang Xi. Signing a genius contract with a branch library seemed to be a bit low. Words like loyalty were the most unreliable. Adults still had to talk about practical things. Presumably, all the major warrior forces were discussing how much they should pay to poach Jiang Xi from Zhenten Budokan, the Xia Kingdom's Shuntian prefecture, in a secret place. A plain-looking old man with his hands behind his back looked at the holographic projection in front of him. The holographic projection was displaying Jiang Xi's detailed information. Are you a child from Paksun province? Put me through to Changxing. Behind him stood a martial artist in black. He had an iron-blooded aura. He immediately contacted the president of the Kitasanfu Martial Artists Association, Changxing. On the other side of the ocean, there was also a vast land. Because the land was vast and sparsely populated, a huge number of monsters occupied almost all the land on this land after the Spirit Qi revival. The survivors from the old era used the 4 northern cities of this land as the foundation to re-establish the Dark Shadow Kingdom, gaining some living space. At this time, in a military base in the Dark Shadow Kingdom, a middle-aged man in a camouflage military uniform exuded a powerful aura. In front of him, a holographic projection of Jiang Xi appeared, but there was no detailed information. He said to the person beside him, I want to see all his information within an hour. His voice was filled with killing intent. At the same time, in the Peacock Country in the south, the Holy Alliance in the west, and the Alpha Star in the north. Under the orders of some higher-ups, these major countries began to collect information on Jiang Xi and issued corresponding orders. Those non-state martial artist forces were also doing the same thing. In an unknown barren mountain cave in the wilderness, 12 holographic figures stood there. In front of them, the holographic projection showed detailed information on Jiang Xi. They were the 12 directors who held the highest authority in the Liberal Alliance. Each of them was a powerful A-class warrior. There was one more director who was not present because he was the real founder of the Liberal Alliance. He was very mysterious, and no one knew his true identity until now. The detailed information on Jiang Xi was brought by Feng Xian. After everyone finished reading, one of them asked, Feng Xian, why is there no information on him before he was 13 years old? Feng Xian's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, someone must have erased his birth experience and deliberately concealed his information from the outside world. If it weren't for the suspicion that he was my son's murderer, I wouldn't have known of his existence. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Could he be a descendant of a reclusive family? Someone speculated. There is no family with the surname Jiang among the reclusive families in the Great Xia Kingdom, someone directly denied. Let's not talk about this for now. Today, we called everyone here to discuss our Liberal Alliance's attitude towards Jiang Xi. Should we recruit him? Or exterminate him? Let's vote. Among the 12 directors, the strongest one, the white-clothed director, interrupted their discussion. Exterminate him. Feng Xian was the first to vote. Recruit him. Recruit him. Apart from Feng Xian, the other 11 directors all agreed to recruit Jiang Xi. Feng Xian's expression was gloomy. Although it was a virtual figure, everyone could feel the bone-piercing coldness he emitted. Feng Xian, personal enmity cannot be placed above the alliance. Moreover, he might not necessarily be your son's murderer, the white-clothed director said solemnly. Feng Xian did not say a word. Seeing Feng Xian's silence, the white-clothed director turned to the others and said, then next, let's find an opportunity to get in touch with him. In terms of treatment, let's first give him the same treatment as the directors. There shouldn't be any objections, right? None. Everyone agreed. Except for Feng Xian. A moment later, the 12 virtual figures disappeared from the cave. Jianghai Prefecture, Mingxin Mountain Manor. In a hidden room. Feng Xian closed the remote meeting and sneered. A bunch of idiots trying to poach someone from Xiantian. What wishful thinking. His gaze was gloomy and filled with murderous intent. What a pity. How hateful. He had no way to confirm whether Jiang Xi was the murderer or not. Unfortunately, according to the report of the Liberal Alliance's spies in the heaven-level training camp, Jiang Xi's speed when he passed the 4th and 5th steps of Ling Wan Road was the same as last month's 300 meters per second. There was nothing unusual. His son's bodyguard, the C-class warrior Marble, also had the same speed. With a speed of 300 meters per second, even if his swordsmanship was at least C-class or C-class, he could not instantly kill the battle-experienced Marble. The most hateful thing was that if Jiang Xi was still in Pak Sun province, he would not even need to make a final confirmation. He would just go and kill him. He would rather kill by mistake than let him go. However, Jiang Xi was now a heaven-level training camp trainee and had done such a shocking thing. There would definitely be a lot of people paying attention to Jiang Xi. He could not act rashly. Wait for an opportunity. At this moment, in his heart, he was certain that Jiang Xi was deliberately hiding his strength. He did not believe that a person's strength could increase so quickly. Chapter 109. Xiantian City, Zhenten Budokan Headquarters. 100 meters underground of a building, in a sealed space, the lights were brightly lit. Suddenly, 4 virtual figures appeared out of thin air, 3 men and 1 woman, all of them middle-aged. These 4 were the famous 4 great elders of Zhenten Budokan. Although Zhenten Budokan was founded by Xiantian, he was not in charge of its affairs. The 4 great elders were responsible for the daily operations of the dojo. All 4 of them were top-notch grade A fighters, only 1 step away from reaching grade A. Any one of them could deter a powerful martial artist faction. For the 4 of them to gather together, something big must have happened. In a similar scene, in front of the 4 great elders, there was also a virtual hologram showing Jiang Xi's information. However, the information here was the most detailed, provided by the Zhenten Budokan branch of Pak Sun province. Is everyone done looking? What do you think of my proposal? A kind middle-aged man smiled. His surname was Tang. Previously, Lu Kuei had asked him to make an exception for Jiang Xi, allowing Jiang Xi to enter the heaven-level training camp by passing the Ling Wan Road test. Tang He, it's true that he is a genius, but the treatment you are giving him is too good. Unless he becomes a grade A fighter, it will go against our Genten Budokan's rules. Immediately, someone raised an objection. The one who spoke was the middle-aged woman. Her voice was sharp, and her eyebrows were very long. She was quite charming. Xie Hui, rules are dead, but people are alive. Cultivating geniuses is also our mission. This is what the head of the dojo said when he established the 4 great training camps. Tang He smiled. I insist on my opinion. Xie Hui did not back down. The two of them argued, and another elder with the surname Fang came out to mediate. He smiled and said, let's vote. Okay. Xie Hui nodded immediately. However, at this moment, a virtual human figure directly connected to this sealed space without their consent. It was a handsome young man dressed in white. He had a very elegant demeanor. Greetings, Lord White Cloud. The 4 elders stood up and bowed at the same time. They were very respectful towards the young man in white. The 4 of them knew very well that although Lord White Cloud looked young, he was already like this 50 years ago in terms of age. Lord White Cloud was much older than the 4 of them. His strength was unfathomable, and he had long since surpassed a class. This is the new contract for Jiang Xi. Tang He, you go and talk to him. White Cloud smiled and extended his hand to produce a holographic image of a piece of paper, which landed in front of the 4 of them. Yes. Tang He replied respectfully. White Cloud did not say much and disappeared. The remaining 4 people were shocked and they saw the contents of the new contract. Elder Xie, do you have any objections now? Tang He chuckled. Humph. Xie Hui immediately ended the call, and the virtual human figure disappeared. Alright, old Tang, hurry up and contact Jiang Xi. Elder Fang smiled. Tang He nodded and immediately tried to contact him. He blocked his own communication signal. Even Jiang Xi himself was not sure how big of a commotion he had caused. When he found out that he was ranked 49th on the Heaven leaderboard, he vaguely felt that something was not right. Hence, after leaving Tianyuan Pavilion, he did not return to Tianyuan District. Instead, he left the camp town and went to the wilderness. If he returned to Tianyuan District at this time, he would definitely be looking for trouble. There were only a few minutes left until the 1st of March, and a new January had begun. His student number was an odd number, and he had to go out alone to hunt monsters in the wilderness. Rather than being surrounded and disturbed in the training camp, it was better to go to the wilderness. At the same time, he also blocked everyone's communication except for Jiang Daodu. Reality proved that Jiang Xi's decision was correct. Now, there were people waiting for him at the entrance to Tianyuan District, as well as around Villa 101 where he lived. However, after waiting for a long time, Jiang Xi still did not appear. After asking around, he found out that Jiang Xi did not return at all. He had left the camp town directly. Ruin 99 was only 100 kilometers away from the camp town. The 2 moons hung high in the sky. Under the bright moonlight, Jiang Xi hurried on his way. The wilderness at night seemed rather lonely. From the tall grass, the low growls of monsters could be heard from time to time. They were all grade E and grade F monsters. They posed no threat to Jiang Xi because he was very fast. In just half an hour, he arrived at Ruin 99. As it was late at night, he did not disturb Jiang Daoda's rest. He was alone in Ruin 99, hunting monsters to increase his experience and original points. It felt good. After mastering the rhythm of the fast sword, he did not need to use the wind shadow steps anymore. He could easily kill a grade C monster with just the 9 elemental swordsmanship. A wolf. In the depths of Ruin 99, a wolf howling in the moon howled at the sky. Its huge figure was frightening. Top tier grade A. At this time, Jiang Xi was hunting a great sea silver moon wolf. With the powerful attack power of the 9 elemental swordsmanship, he could completely suppress this powerful wolf-type monster. Just as he was about to succeed, he heard the howl and his expression changed. This was because the silver moon wolf in front of him also howled, as if it was responding to the call of the wolf howling in the moon. Fuck! Jiang Xi did not even think. He gave up on the silver moon wolf that he was about to kill and disappeared from the spot in an instant. Every step crossed a distance of 1,000 meters as he rushed out of the city. This was his fastest speed, close to 3 times the speed of sound. At this juncture, he could no longer hide. If he was 1 step slower, he would die. Less than 3 seconds after Jiang Xi disappeared, the wolf howling in the moon rushed to the place where Jiang Xi and the silver moon wolf were fighting from the depths of Ruin 99, which was more than 10 kilometers away. The wolf howling in the moon roared in the direction where Jiang Xi had left. It did not chase after him because the silver moon wolf in front of it was dying and needed to be treated. On the other side, Jiang Xi ran for more than 20 kilometers at 3 times the speed of sound. Finally, he stopped at a ruined town not far from Ruin 99. There were very few monsters here. That was close. As expected, there were many monsters in Ruin 99. He did not expect that a random monster he had chosen would be the child of a top-tier grade A monster. If he had been just a little slower, he would have definitely been killed by the wolf howling in the moon. There are dangers everywhere in the wilderness. I must be more careful. Jiang Xi reminded himself again. If he lost his life, he would lose everything. After going through such a dangerous situation, he decided to rest for a while and wait for the wolf howling in the moon's anger to subside before entering Ruin 99. For the time being, he found a residential building to rest in this ruined town. He looked at the time. It was almost 6 o'clock, but the sun did not show any signs of rising. Because this was the Western Highlands, the sun set late and rose late. Jiang Xi was prepared to rest for an hour or 2, so he sat cross-legged in the residential building and began his daily cultivation. 2 hours later, he completed 3 cycles of cultivation. Although he did not gain much experience, his heart was completely calm after this cultivation. Chapter 110. After clearing Lingwan Road, Jiang Xi's heart could not calm down. Because the commotion this time was too great, and some unknown changes might occur in his life. It was impossible to say that he was not nervous at all. First, there was the threat from Feng Xian. It was like a knife hanging over his head, and it could fall at any time. Secondly, with such a huge exposure, his future days would definitely not be so peaceful. As long as I'm strong enough, I won't be afraid of any unknown changes. After calming down, Jiang Xi's thoughts became clearer. He understood many things, and his will became firmer. Then, he once again ran to Ruin 99 and continued to hunt monsters. 8:20 in the morning. Before Jiang Xi returned to Ruin 99, his tactical communications watch vibrated. Someone was calling him. Without a doubt, it was definitely Jiang Dudu, because he had blocked everyone else's communication signal. He answered the call. Jiang Xi, you brat, hurry up and return to the training camp. Lu Shan's voice came from the other side of the phone. Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment, then he specifically confirmed the communication signal. It was Jiang Dudu's. Senior Lu, why are you here? You blocked everyone's signal, and the satellite couldn't locate you. That's why Lu Kuei found me, and I found Jiang Sheng. Jiang Sheng found your sister, and then I contacted you. Jiang Xi was speechless. This was really a long time, brother, is everything okay? Jiang Dudu interjected, asking Jiang Xi to confirm Lu Shan's words. Nothing, I'm fine. Jiang Xi answered Jiang Dudu's question first. Alright, hurry up and return to the training camp. Lu Kuei is waiting for you, Lu Shan said with a smile on the other side of the phone. When Jiang Xi's figure appeared at the entrance of the camp town, some of the students who were training in the training camp today immediately noticed him. Jiang Xi is back. Those who reacted quickly hurriedly shouted. His voice instantly spread across half of the camp town. In less than 10 seconds, many students rushed over after hearing the commotion. Everyone was moving very quickly. Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. Seeing the students running towards him, he immediately broke into a run and ran towards Mountain View Park. These senior brothers and sisters are so fierce. Everyone chased after him relentlessly. Some of the stronger and faster students chased at the front while shouting. Junior brother Jiang Xi, I'm from the Luotian Martial School. Junior brother Jiang Xi, I'm from the Chang'an Army. They represented their respective forces to recruit Jiang Xi. The Genten Budokan training camp was open to the public. As long as one was from the Daxia kingdom and had sufficient talent, one would have the opportunity to enter. Jiang Xi rushed into Shanshui Garden as if his life depended on it. The students who were chasing after him all stopped in their tracks. Because Shanshui Garden was the residence of the instructors, they did not dare to barge in. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Goodbye. Jiang Xi smiled and waved his hand. He still had the necessary courtesy. Hey, junior brother Jiang Xi, many people were still unwilling to give up and continued to shout out words that they wanted to recruit Riverward. Jiang Xi turned and walked towards Shanshui Garden Manor No. 1, Lu Kuei's residence in the training camp. He already knew that Lu Kuei was waiting for him there. When he arrived, he found that Lu Kuei was not the only one waiting for him. Other than Lu Kuei, there was also a middle-aged man who he did not recognize. He looked very kind. Come, Jiang Xi. Let me introduce you. This is one of the 4 elders of Genten Budokan, Elder Tang. Lu Kuei smiled. Elder Tang. Jiang Xi felt that this name was very familiar. Coupled with the kind face, journey to the west. Greetings, Elder Tang. Jiang Xi quickly bowed. No need to be so polite. Looking at your expression, have we met before? No, I just feel very close to Elder Tang. Ha! Tang he laughed. Jiang Xi, you have to thank Elder Tang. Last time when I went to Pak Sun province to recruit you into the training camp, it was Elder Tang who spoke up and gave you a chance to test yourself. Lu Kuei smiled again. Thank you, Elder Tang. Jiang Xi quickly thanked him. You don't have to be like this. Making things convenient for others is also making things convenient for yourself. The more geniuses like you in our training camp, the stronger we will be, and the stronger humanity will be. Tang he was very open-minded and Jiang Xi admired him. Alright, let's not chat anymore. Let's get down to business. Immediately after, Tang he waved his hand and called out a holographic projection. It was a magnified piece of paper. Due to your shocking actions last night, our Genten Budokan has provided you with a new contract. Take a look and see if it is acceptable. Tang he was very straightforward and didn't beat around the bush. His attitude was also very gentle. Jiang Xi looked over with a puzzled expression and saw that the content of the paper was very simple. Party A, Genten Budokan. Party B, Jiang Xi. Contract Terms, 1. Party B shall clear the 6th stage of Lingwan Road before May 1, 93 years of the New Moon Era. Party A promises to reward a B-Class Fey Medicine and a B-Class Combat set with a total value of 30 billion. 2. Party B shall clear the 7th stage of Lingwan Road before August 15, 93 years of the New Moon Era. Party A promises to reward an A-Class Fey Medicine and an A-Class Combat set with a total value of 300 billion. 3. Party B shall clear the 8th stage of Lingwan Road before January 1, 94 years of the New Moon Era. Party A promises to reward a century-old Fey and a priceless soul weapon. Jiang Xi's breathing stagnated. They really think highly of me. The first reward is to clear the 6th stage of Lingwan Road. Furthermore, they are only giving me 2 months. It was obvious that this was the first time Lu Kuei had seen this contract. After reading it, he frowned and said, "Elder Tang, isn't this new contract too harsh? It seems like the treatment is very good, but there isn't anything substantial. Cadets from the Heaven Class training camp have to wait at least 3 years before they have the chance to clear the 6th stage. There are still 2 months before May 1st. It is impossible for Jiang Ci to clear the 6th stage. There is no need to mention the other 2 conditions. Since the establishment of the Horizon training camp, no cadet has been able to clear the 7th and 8th stages of Lingwan Road." Lu Kuei felt that it was unfair for Jiang Ci. He felt that this contract was insincere. Jiang Ci remained silent. What Lu Kuei said was the truth. The Lingwan Road's illusory trial did not mean that the higher the martial artist's level, the higher the chance of clearing it. This was because the monsters in the illusory trial were of the same level as the martial artist. Just like when he cleared the Lingwan Road yesterday, he was able to achieve such a good result. In fact, there was a lot of luck involved. First of all, he had successfully grasped the rhythm of the fast sword at the crucial moment. The breakthrough in the power of his swordsmanship laid a foundation for him. Secondly, his martial artist level happened to be at the bottleneck of D class. He was only a little bit away from C class. Level, Bone-honed Union D class 1040111000. If he were to wait another week until his martial artist level broke through to C class, the difficulty of the illusory trial would increase exponentially if he were to attempt Lingwan Road again. Compared to 100 D-class monsters, the overall strength of 100 C-class monsters was not as simple as doubling. Therefore, many veteran cadets from the Heaven Class training camp were stuck at the 4th or 5th stage. They were unable to move forward even after graduation. For example, Shu Qiqi, who was ranked 2nd on the Heaven leaderboard, had been stuck at the 6th stage for 2 years and had yet to clear it. Because she was a B-class martial artist, the monsters in the illusory trial would be 100 B-class monsters. Moreover, they would have the attack of the advanced martial technique perfection stage. Their individual strength would be close to that of a top B-class martial artist. If she wanted to clear it, unless she had the combat strength of a top A-class, the chances were very slim. Chapter 111. In the face of Lu Kuei's doubts, Tang He looked at Jiang Ci with a smile. The final decision was in Jiang Ci's hands. Jiang Ci was deep in thought and did not answer immediately. Many miracles have happened in the Spirit Qi recovery era, but very few people know about them. For example, our dojo master Xian Tian and the founder of Tsukushin Budokan, Li Bai, Senior Bai, both of them only took a year to break through and become Class A martial artists. The talent you have shown is stronger than theirs. I think you have the chance to do it. Tang He suddenly laughed and revealed a shocking secret. Become a Class A martial artist in a year. Lu Kuei obviously had not heard of it. His face was extremely shocked. It was definitely the most secretive thing in the martial arts world. Then I have no problem. Jiang Ci smiled. He was deep in thought just now because he was estimating the speed of his strength improvement. There were exactly 2 months left until May 1st. With the help of the experience panel, his strength would be greatly improved in such a long time. It was not impossible to pass the 6th step of Lingwan Road. Jiang Ci, you. Lu Kuei was still very shocked. Good. Martial artists should have this kind of drive. Tang He exclaimed in admiration. Then, both parties signed the contract. The other terms in the contract were very loose, and there were almost no restrictions on Jiang Ci. As for the 3 conditional rewards, the difficulty was indeed very high. But the rewards were equally generous. Riverward knew that he had to give it his all to have a chance. This was his chance to quickly improve his strength. Because using the experience panel to improve one's strength had to meet 2 conditions. Experience and spirit energy. He was not short of experience now, but spirit energy. Before becoming a martial artist, he used the experience panel to consume his body's energy. After becoming a martial artist, Jiang Xi confirmed that the experience panel consumes spirit energy after many experiments. If he could provide enough spirit energy, then he could quickly improve his strength. Just like when he had been chased by Marble in Ruin number 09, he had consumed the unripe dragon spirit fruit. In just 30 seconds, he had used up more than 3,000 experience points. His strength had greatly increased, and in the end, he had killed Marble, Feng Shaocheng, and the others. Ever since then, he had always wanted to buy Fey potions. Fey potions were made by using a special method to dilute Feys. They also contained a large amount of spirit chi, and the risk of using them was much lower than real Feys. However, there was not enough money. Right now, he couldn't even afford C-grade Fey medicine. In the Xian Tian shopping center, C-grade Fey potions had a discounted price of 2.8 billion new moon dollars. There was no need to mention the 28.8 billion B-grade Fey potions. In the contract, there weren't only B-grade Fey potions. There were also A-grade Fey potions and A-grade combat suits worth a total of 300 billion. This was an astronomical figure that he could not earn in a short period of time. As for 100-year spirit items and spirit weapons, they probably couldn't be bought with money. To him, this contract was a real gamble, turning a bicycle into a motorcycle. As long as he could obtain one of them, his strength would soar. After Jiang Xi signed the new contract, Genten Budokan intentionally spread the news, and many other martial artist factions that wanted to rope him in gave up. Although they didn't know the contents of the contract, it was rumored that the Genten Budokan's upper echelons had personally set the contract for Jiang Xi. It definitely wouldn't be bad. In terms of wealth, no one could compare to Genten Budokan. As a result, Jiang Xi regained his peace. Without these people disturbing him, he could put all his energy into cultivation. To him, time was strength. As long as he had enough time, nothing would be a problem. The problem was that the contract didn't give him a lot of time. The first reward was to pass the 6th stage of Ling Wan Road's illusory realm trial in 2 months. Therefore, Jiang Xi began to cultivate crazily in the following days. While using the experience points to increase his strength, he would also hunt in the wilderness. Every month, he would spend half of his time hunting monsters in the wilderness to obtain experience points, origin points, and money. The rest of the time, he would cultivate in the training camp. He would ask Yulin for advice on swordsmanship. Under the guidance of an A-class martial artist, his understanding of swordsmanship had also improved. Time flew, and 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. New Moon Year 93, April 28. There were only 2 days left before the first reward period of the contract. On this day, Jiang Xi came to Tianyuan Pavilion. He wanted to do a rehearsal for the sprint on the 30th. In March, he was ranked 45th on the heaven list. Therefore, this month, he had 7 opportunities to cultivate in Ling Wan Road and Wondrous Rock Mountain, each for 2 hours. Basically, he would come to Tianyuan Pavilion every 4 or 5 days and use up 1 opportunity each. This month, he had 2 opportunities to cultivate in Ling Wan Road and Wondrous Rock Mountain. At the entrance of Tianyuan Pavilion, he met Haningshue. Jiang Xi, let's have a meal together when you're free. We're old friends. After being in the training camp for so long, we haven't had a good gathering. Next time. If you're free, cultivate more and increase your strength. Faced with Han Yingshue's invitation, Jiang Xi flatly rejected it. Coincidentally, when the two of them were talking, Qin Feng, who had just come out of Tianyuan Pavilion, saw them talking. Qin Feng's expression was extremely ugly. This was because in the past 2 months, he had invited Han Yingxue many times, but he had never received a response. Now, Han Yingxue had taken the initiative to invite Jiang Xi. Comparing the two, Qin Feng's last bit of affection for Han Yingxue dissipated. On the other side, Jiang Xi ignored Qin Feng's angry gaze and walked straight into Tianyuan Pavilion. On the other hand, Qin Feng stopped Han Ningxue and said angrily, Han Ningxue, how dare you not listen to the opinions of the elders of the Qin and Han families? Why should I listen? When it comes to matters of the heart, I make my own decisions. It's not up to others to interfere. Han Ningxue said coldly. Then tell me, which part of me is inferior to that beggar? You clearly know that after a while, the so-called martial arts genius will not be worth mentioning. Why are you still wasting your time on him? Qin Feng's face was a little ferocious. He did not like Han Ningxue, but he wanted to regain his self-esteem. Han Ningxue's differential treatment made him feel humiliated like never before. Faced with the questioning, Han Ningxue was silent. Then, she said without any emotion, please move aside. I'm going to cultivate. Qin Feng was left in the same place. He looked at Han Ningxue's back and was burning with anger. If I can't have it, no one can. Compared to Lingwan Road, Wonderful Rock Mountain was also a magical object. It could increase a warrior's cultivation speed. It was similar to the methods in myths and legends. When Jiang Xi saw Wonderful Rock Mountain for the first time, he was also shocked for a long time. At first, he thought that this magical object would be a mountain. In fact, it was not a mountain at all. It was just an ordinary stone block, like a bench. It was just big enough for a person to sit cross-legged on. Jiang Xi came to the third floor of Tianyuan Pavilion. As he had already made an appointment, no one was using Wonderful Rock Mountain. He went straight in and sat cross-legged on it. After calming his qi and focusing his mind, he began to circulate the 9 Elements Heart Sutra. Streams of heaven and earth spiritual energy that were several times denser than usual gathered. The efficiency of his absorption of spiritual energy also greatly increased. Chapter 112. Jiang Xi cultivated on Wondrous Rock Mountain. After one cycle, the experience panel prompt sounded frowny face. You cultivated the 9 elements cultivation method once. Experience points plus 27. Through the experience points gained from cultivation, he confirmed that Wondrous Rock Mountain could increase his cultivation speed by 3 times. Usually, he would only get 9 experience points for one cycle of cultivation. Generally speaking, the effect of Wondrous Rock Mountain was still a little useless for Jiang Xi. But for the other trainees in the heaven-level training camp, it was a godly item. The reason why Jiang Xi wanted to cultivate here was mainly to avoid arousing suspicion. You don't even use such a powerful godly item? It's fine if you don't come here once or twice, but if you do it too many times, people will definitely suspect something fishy. Anyway, you'll get experience points if you don't use it. After 2 hours of cultivation on Wondrous Rock Mountain, he completed 3 cycles of the 9 elements cultivation method and obtained 81 experience points. Next, Jiang Xi went to the room on Lingwan Road on the 2nd floor of the Tianyuan Pavilion. The timing was very good. The previous trainee had just finished using it. The one who came out was an old trainee ranked in the top 30 on the heaven list. Jiang Xi had seen him a few times. Hello, junior brother Jiang Xi. The old trainee was very polite. Hello, senior brother. Jiang Xi politely greeted and then entered the room on Lingwan Road. The old trainee stood in place and shook his head, sighing. Because in the past 2 months, he and all the other trainees in the heaven-level training camp had witnessed Jiang Xi's abnormal speed of improvement. They had thought that Jiang Xi's amazing performance in February was only one time. But they didn't expect that in March and April, Jiang Xi's ranking on the heaven list would still rise at a shocking rate. In March, Jiang Xi's final ranking on the heaven list was 45th. It was only 4 places higher than in February, which was considered normal. But in the following April, in the first week, Jiang Xi rushed to 38th place. This made some people who had heaved a sigh of relief drop their eyes. Since then, Jiang Xi had been stable in this ranking. There were still 2 days before the end of April. Presumably, there wouldn't be much change. In everyone's eyes, Jiang Xi's improvement speed was equivalent to a year for others. He came to Lingwan Road at the end of the month again. Is he trying to replicate the amazing feat in February? The old trainee was surprised and then shook his head. That shouldn't be possible. In the room where Ling Yundao was located, Riverward went straight to the 6th step of Ling Yundao. That's right, at the beginning of this month, he had passed the 5th stage of the illusory realm trial and obtained more than 5 times the points increment. That was why he was able to stay at 38th place this month. However, this was far from enough. The first condition of the contract was that he had to pass through the 6th stage. Closing his eyes, he entered the 6th stage of the illusory realm trial space. 100 monsters, and CI, 100 monsters. The trial monster for this stage was the same as the 3rd stage, the scarlet-shelled earthworm. The only difference was that these 100 scarlet-shelled earthworms all had attacks equivalent to the perfection stage of a high-grade martial technique. In addition, at the beginning of March, just a few days after signing the contract, his warrior rank had broken through to C rank. Therefore, the monsters in the illusion trial had also become C-class, and the difficulty had increased exponentially. Jiang Xi remembered clearly that when he was still a D-class martial artist, he was able to kill 41 Wind Fiend White Tigers at the 5th stage. But after he became a C-class warrior, he kept failing in the 5th stage illusion trial for 2 hours. The most he managed to kill was 30 Wind Fiend White Tigers. It was very tragic. Later on, as he adapted to the body of a C-class, and with the continuous increase of his experience points, his strength also steadily increased. In the end, he gradually recovered his performance on Lingwan Road and improved further. The trial begins. Facing 100 rank C scarlet-shelled earthworms, Jiang Xi showed no fear. Wielding his sword, he charged forward. Last time, I only managed to kill 81 scarlet-shelled earthworms. Can I kill 100 scarlet-shelled earthworms in 2 hours this time? Roar! An earth-shattering roar resounded throughout the grassland. When the horde of beasts charged forward, it was as if the entire space was shaking. Jiang Xi and the horde of scarlet-shelled earthworms engaged in a fierce battle. 2 hours later, more than 10 scarlet-shelled earthworms with blade-like long tails charged over and tore Jiang Xi to shreds. Used 49 minutes to kill 83 scarlet-shelled earthworms. Refinement failed. The voice of the illusion space rang out. Jiang Xi frowned and exited the illusion trial. There was still a long way to go. Although there were only 17 scarlet-shelled earthworms left, it was obvious that he had reached his limit. Only by increasing his combat strength would he have a chance to pass. Do I have to use wind shadow steps at full strength? Jiang Xi shook his head. His current strength was not enough to face Feng Xian. If he exposed his true speed and let Feng Xian confirm that he was the murderer, the loss would outweigh the gain. In the past, he knew very little about Feng Xian. He only knew that Feng Xian was an A-class martial artist. However, in the past 3 months, he had been training with Yulin. Through Yulin, he had learned about Feng Xian's true identity and strength. He was one of the 13 directors with the greatest authority in the Liberal Alliance. He had become an A-class martial artist a long time ago. Now, he was only 1 step away from the peak of A-class. According to Yulin, Feng Xian could easily kill those who had just become A-class martial artists. Even if I use wind shadow steps, my actual combat strength is still not A-class. The higher his realm, the more Jiang Xi knew about A-class martial artists. He knew that his current strength was still far from A-class. In the end, he decided to play it safe. Although it was important to increase his strength quickly, it was not as important as his own life. Of course, this did not mean that he would give up on the first reward in the contract. There were still 2 days left. He still had a chance. Level, Marrow Reversion Level C, 7951158000, Cultivation Technique, 9 Elements Cultivation Technique Martial Technique, 9 Elements Swordplay, combine, 1413130000, wind shadow steps, combine, 1121140000, force exertion, 7. 88 experience points, 130537. From the interface, it could be seen that he had improved a lot in the past 2 months, especially his experience points, which had broken through the 100,000 mark for the first time. He had also improved a lot in other aspects, especially his force exertion, which was close to 8 times. Jiang Xi retracted his consciousness from the interface, his eyes shining. There's only one way left. He decided to carry out his final plan. I'll use C-class Fey potions to increase my strength first. Currently, I'm close to the bottleneck on the interface. If my force exertion can reach 8 times, the power of my swordplay will increase significantly. Then, I'll have a chance to pass the 6th stage. C-class Fey potions cost money. So, how much money did he have now? Jiang Xi looked at his account balance again. It was 5.1 billion new moon dollars. When he had won the bet with Wang Kai, his balance was 2 billion. In other words, 3.1 billion was earned by him by hunting monsters in the past 3 months. It was very efficient. Although it was said that he had 3 months, the actual time he had spent in the wilderness was only 1.5 months. In the wilderness, he could earn more than 60 million every day. A single C-class Fey potion costs 2.8 billion. With my current martial artist rank, using a C-class Fey potion will not have an obvious effect. 5.1 billion is not even enough for 2 C-class Fey potions. Chapter 113. Tianyuan District, Villa 29. Jiang Xi knocked on the door of the villa. Behind the door was a face with an unpleasant expression. It was Qiao Sheng, who had come with Qin Feng to challenge Jiang Xi to a duel. Junior Jiang Xi, what's the matter? Qiao Sheng squeezed out a smile. They weren't on good terms, and Jiang Xi's identity was different from before, so he had to treat him with caution. Jiang Xi smiled. I want to have a friendly duel with Brother Zhou. Qiao Sheng, he was stunned, then said with a stiff smile, sorry, I've been a little busy recently. Oh. Could it be that senior brother Qiao was afraid? Why don't you admit that you're a coward in front of everyone, just like what Qin Feng said last time? Or I can help you tell everyone. Jiang Xi pretended to be enlightened. Damn it. Qiao Sheng cursed inwardly. He finally understood how difficult Jiang Xi was to deal with. And now that he was the one who said it, he knew how unpleasant it was. If word got out, he wouldn't be able to stay in the heaven-level training camp anymore. Afraid of a newcomer? I just remembered that I'm not that busy recently. It's okay to play with Junior Jiang Xi. How do you want to duel? Didn't you say last time that I could choose the amount of money for the duel? 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, I think 10 billion will do. Qiao Sheng was speechless for a moment, then said in a deep voice, Junior Jiang Xi, small bets are good for fun, but large bets are bad for your health. That makes sense. 5 billion will do. Any less and it won't suit our status. In the end, the two of them confirmed the duel. After the application was successful, they transferred 5 billion to a third-party account for the duel. The duel would take place at 6:00 in the afternoon at the combat center on the first floor of Tianyuan Pavilion. Jiang Xi hummed a tune as he returned to his Villa 101 to cultivate and prepare for the duel in the afternoon. The news spread like wildfire, and soon, it spread throughout the camp town. Then, Jiang Xi received a call from Qiao Sheng. After the call connected, Qiao Sheng's angry voice came from the other side. Jiang Xi, didn't we agree not to tell anyone about the duel? I was just about to ask Brother Zhou about it. How did the whole training camp know about our duel? Fuck. Hello. Senior Brother Qiao, what did you say? I can't hear you. Was there a problem with the signal? Hello. Hello. Beep beep beep, Riverward heard a busy tone from his tactical communications watch. Riverward didn't take this little episode to heart. It didn't affect the bet in the afternoon. He really wasn't the one who spread the news. He had just casually mentioned this matter to Zhou Xing and Yan Chao, and had also unintentionally mentioned the time and place. Then, for some reason, the news had spread throughout the entire training camp. Tianyuan District, Villa 7. Qiao Xing was at Ma Yu's residence. Bastard! He must have spread the news. Qiao Xing angrily threw his tactical communications watch to the ground. With his strength as a C-class fighter, this custom-made tactical communications watch worth 5 million was smashed into pieces. Don't bother with such petty tricks. Ma Yu shook his head. After Qiao Xing vented his anger, he thought about it carefully and knew that he shouldn't have lost his temper. He was a veteran trainee who had trained in the heaven-level training camp for 3 years. He wasn't afraid of Jiang Ci. So what if the news spread? As for the reason for his anger, he knew very well. Before he and Ma Yu entered the heaven-level training camp, they were Sunshin Budo Academy students on the surface. In fact, they were spies for the Liberal Alliance. They had secretly investigated Jiang Ci before, so he felt a little guilty when facing the sudden rise of Jiang Ci. Thinking of this, Qiao Xing hesitated and said, "Brother Ma, why don't I deliberately lose to Jiang Ci in the afternoon?" "You can't lose," Ma Yu said sternly. Qiao Xing was slightly stunned. Ma Yu said with a serious expression, "In this month's heaven ranking, you are 37th and Jiang Ci is 38th. It seems that your strength is about the same, but you have trained in the heaven-level training camp for 3 years. Your actual combat ability is definitely stronger than his. If you deliberately lose to him, it will make people suspicious. So, you must win. And you must win with all your strength." Qiao Xing's eyes focused and he nodded heavily. It was not even 6:00 in the afternoon. Today, the students training in the heaven-level training camp gathered in the combat center on the first floor of Tianyuan Pavilion. "They're here!" Someone shouted. Everyone's eyes turned to the entrance of Tianyuan Pavilion to watch the show. Jiang Ci and Qiao Xing arrived together. This time, Jiang Ci did not leave on time and came early. Coincidentally, just as he arrived at the entrance of Tianyuan Pavilion, he bumped into Qiao Xing, who had also just arrived. "Hello, Brother Zhou." "Humph." Qiao Xing just snorted and stepped into the combat center on the first floor. Jiang Ci smiled and went in as well. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the two leaped into the combat arena together. "Come on, Jiang Gu. Beat the old students." Before the start of the fight, Zhou Xing, Yan Chao, and some other new students shouted from below. With their promotion, many new students became Jiang Ci's loyal fans. Jiang Ci stood in the combat arena and waved with a smile in response to everyone's cheers. Qiao Xing, who stood opposite him, wore a cold face and did not say a word. After a while, it was 6:00. The two closed their eyes at the same time. After a moment of dizziness, they entered the illusory space of the combat arena and found themselves in a combat arena. It was like a combat arena that had been magnified 100 times. It was enough for the two of them to fight to their heart's content. Under the guidance of the clear female voice in the illusory space, the two of them quickly chose their weapons and equipment. Jiang Ci chose the ancient long sword that was similar to the killer's shadow sword. Qiao Xing chose the Qi Mei staff. There were irregular patterns on the surface of the staff and it looked quite ancient. "My staff technique is a high-level martial art technique. When I challenged the second and fourth steps of the Ling Wan Road, I had my own understanding of the staff technique. Ordinary B-grade martial artists are no match for me, so you will lose without a doubt." Qiao Xing pointed the staff at Jiang Ci, full of confidence. "Oh, are you done?" Jiang Ci nodded. Qiao Xing's words stagnated. Jiang Ci's understatement made him hold his breath. Just as he was about to speak, the voice in the illusory space rang out. The fight begins. Die! Qiao Sheng shouted angrily. He was full of anger from the beginning. When he heard the voice, he took the initiative to attack. The long staff whistled and stabbed at Jiang Xi, cutting through the air. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, it crossed the distance of 100 meters and arrived in front of Jiang Xi. It's also a high-level martial art technique of the Unity realm. Jiang Xi looked calm on the surface, but he did not relax in his heart. Qiao Sheng's ranking on the heaven list was one rank higher than him. He had also reached the 5th step of the Ling Wan Road. Although he did not pass it, his strength was definitely not weak. Facing this staff, Jiang Xi used the wind shadow step lightly and dodged it with extreme elegance. At the same time, he swept out his long sword. Dang dang dang. The two of them exchanged more than 100 blows in an instant. They are actually evenly matched. Qiao Sheng's expression changed. He could not believe it. Impossible! Qiao Sheng shouted angrily again. The shadow of the staff was like a dragon. It swung up and smashed heavily at Jiang Xi. His aura was like a violent wave. Ha, good timing. Jiang Xi laughed. His sword flashed and instantly exceeded the speed of sound. Pooh! The long staff penetrated Jiang Xi's chest. But at the same time, Jiang Xi's sword edge swept across and a head flew into the sky. So fast. This was Qiao Sheng's last consciousness. The fight has ended. Jiang Xi wins. The voice in the illusory space rang out. You are not as fast as me. Jiang Xi grinned and then lost consciousness. Qiao Sheng had also struck his fatal point, the heart. But his sword was faster and directly beheaded Jiang Xi. Qiao Sheng lost consciousness before him. Therefore, the arena judged him as the winner. Chapter 114. Jiang Xi smiled as he stepped down from the arena. In stark contrast, Qiao Sheng's face was gloomy. Hiss. Jiang Xi won. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. This was even more shocking than Jiang Xi reaching 38th place on the heaven leaderboard. This was because Jiang Xi was only a new trainee who had been training in the heaven-level training camp for 3 months, while Qiao Sheng was a veteran trainee for 3 years. Before the match, everyone had guessed that Qiao Sheng had a higher chance of winning. After all, Qiao Sheng had more combat experience. Who would have thought that Jiang Xi would win? Brother Zhou, thank you for letting me win. Jiang Xi cupped his hands in salute. Humph. Qiao Sheng did not appreciate the gesture. His face was gloomy as he left Tianyuan Pavilion. Losing 5 billion was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that it was embarrassing. Brother Zhou, if there's a chance next time, let's have a friendly match. Jiang Xi shouted at his back. Damn it, bitch. Qiao Sheng quickened his pace and soon disappeared. Jiang Xi chuckled. This time, he had achieved both his goals. He had won 5 billion and also completed his test of Qiao Sheng. During the previous match, he had noticed that Qiao Sheng, Ma Yu, and the rest had ulterior motives. Something was wrong. Therefore, this time, in order to make money, the first person he thought of was them. Although he did not see much, this match had confirmed some things. Qiao Sheng and the rest were definitely hostile to him. This time, the people from Pak Sun province did not clamor for Jiang Xi to treat them to a meal. They were all people with dignity. How could they eat for free again and again? Jiang Xi returned to his residence with the 5 billion he had won. Then, he eagerly logged into the Xian Tian store. He didn't browse through anything else and directly searched for the items he wanted to buy. C grade Fey potion, 2. 8 billion new moon dollars, 3 sets. Order. His current delivery address had been changed to Villa 101 in the Tianyuan district of the Heaven Level Training Camp. Therefore, according to the Xian Tian store, the delivery time would be tonight. After all, the headquarters of Genten Budokan was located in Xian Tian City, which was not far from here. At 10:00 in the evening, Jiang Xi used the experience panel to complete his daily training. Not long after, someone knocked on the door of his villa. "Hello, student Jiang Xi. Your express delivery." The delivery man at the door was a Genten Budokan martial artist. He had a strong aura and was a D-class martial artist. "Thank you." Jiang Xi thanked him and returned to the villa with the special alloy box. "Let's see what the Fey potion looks like." In the training room, Jiang Xi opened the box curiously. He saw 3 intravenous syringes fixed in the 3 slots. Each syringe was filled with a pale white liquid, but only half of it was not full. It was similar to a nutrient solution. Injecting it into the bloodstream is faster than directly absorbing it orally. Jiang Xi nodded gently. This was common knowledge. Subsequently, Jiang Xi checked and made sure there were no problems. In this highly protected training room, he began to level up. He directly used 1 syringe. The cool liquid entered his body and quickly turned into rich spirit energy. The spirit energy is purer than the last time I consumed the dragon spirit fruit. It seems to have been purified. Riverward's mind shook. The dense spirit chi energy started to attack his body, and a feeling of his body swelling appeared. But this time, it was obvious that his body could withstand it. Unlike the unripe dragon spirit fruit, which had almost burst his body. More than half of the blood vessels in his skin had burst, and he looked like a man of blood. Level increased by 500 experience points. 9 elemental sword technique experience points. In an instant, the spirit energy that filled Jiang Xi's body rapidly decreased. That swelling feeling also decreased. His body, including strength, toughness, flexibility, and other attributes, began to have a small enhancement. At the same time, a comprehension of the 9 elemental sword technique began to impact his spiritual consciousness. But the rapidly depleted spirit energy helped him offset this impact. The entire process lasted less than 10 seconds. Jiang Xi frowned slightly because the spirit energy from the C-grade Fey potion was almost depleted. The C-grade Fey potion is only enough to support the consumption of 1,000 experience points. That unripe dragon spirit fruit consumed more than 3,000 experience points in one go. It was about the same effect as these 3 C-grade Fey potions combined. He felt very relaxed earlier, so Jiang Xi used up the remaining 2 C-grade Fey potions in one go. The impact this time was much stronger, but with the experience panel's rapid depletion, it was not a big problem. He added 1,000 experience points to his level and 9 elemental sword technique respectively, further increasing his strength. The Wind Shadow Steps rank is enough for now. I need to increase my attack power urgently. At this point, he had used up the 3 C-grade Fey potions in just half a minute. If the outside world knew about this, they would definitely be shocked. Normal martial artists would be very careful when using Fey potions. They would basically need 2 to 3 days to completely digest a single Fey potion. Jiang Xi only needed half a minute. After the upgrade, he opened the experience panel. Level, Marrow Transformation Realm, C-Class, 945115800, Cultivation Technique, 9 Elemental Heart Sutra Martial Skills, 9 Elemental Sword Technique, Combine, 1563130000, Wind Shadow Step, Combine, 1121140000, Force Execution, 808 Experience. 127537. Putting aside the slight increase in level and 9 elemental sword technique, the most obvious breakthrough this time was his force execution. 808 times. When he used his full strength, it was equivalent to his sword having 8 times his strength. It was very powerful. April 29th, the odd day. Jiang Xi was fully armed and hunted monsters in Ruin 99 for an entire day. The breakthrough in his force execution had further increased his efficiency in hunting monsters. After a day, the monster materials he had harvested were mainly C-grade. They were worth more than 90 million, close to 100 million. What a terrifying earning speed. April 30th, the even day and also the last day of the month. Jiang Xi was cultivating in the training camp. There were still 24 hours before the first reward in the contract. In other words, if he had not cleared the 6th stage of Ling Wan Road after midnight, he would miss out on the first reward. During the day of the 30th, Jiang Xi was cultivating in the villa. He practiced the 9 elemental sword technique over and over again, not forgetting to make the final upgrade. He only went out at 7 p.m. He had booked cultivation opportunities at Ingenious Rock Mountain and Ling Wan Road at 7:10 p.m. and 9:10 p.m., respectively. When he arrived at Tianyuan Pavilion, he first cultivated at Ingenious Rock Mountain for 2 hours before going downstairs to prepare to challenge Ling Wan Road. This time, no one was using Ling Wan Road, because it was already the last 3 hours of the month. The cultivation opportunities at Ling Wan Road had all been used up. Jiang Xi stood in front of Ling Wan Road, but he did not immediately go up. No matter how calm he was, he could not remain calm in the face of a reward that was worth 30 billion. He took a few deep breaths and waited for his mind to calm down before he went up to the 6th stage with a determined gaze. Then, he closed his eyes and entered the illusion to train. Whether I succeed or not will depend on this. Chapter 115. The 6th stage of Ling Wan Road's Illusory Realm Trial. 100 C-class red-shelled earthworms were roaring crazily. Their blade-like long tails were waving wildly. The sound of air being torn apart was terrifying. Kill! Jiang Xi shouted and rushed towards the group of red-shelled earthworms. Rumble! The ground in the illusory realm was trembling. Jiang Xi steadily rushed into the group of red-shelled earthworms. His sharp sword was flickering with cold light. Accompanying his figure, he continuously attacked. Stabbing, slashing, the speed of his sword was far beyond the speed of sound. Adding on the fact that his strength was over 8 times, each of his sword attacks had reached the peak of B-class. Chi! The long sword easily pierced through the fatal point of a C-class red-shelled earthworm. With a fierce twist, it was directly beheaded. Not less than a minute had passed. Compared to the previous day, his efficiency was much higher. Quick! I need to increase my killing speed. At the same time, Jiang Xi maintained his movement speed of around 300 meters per second, constantly dodging the bites and tail attacks of the surrounding red-shelled earthworms. Although he only used half of his movement speed, it was enough to deal with a C-class red-shelled earthworm. The normal speed of a C-class red-shelled earthworm was 300 meters per second. In addition, the wind shadow step was not only fast, but it was also abnormally agile. Jiang Xi's mysterious footwork was graceful in the middle of the group of red-shelled earthworms. Although the attacks of the red-shelled earthworms were crazy, it was hard for them to touch him. This time, the feeling was extremely good. 1 or 2 slashes was enough to kill a red-shelled earthworm. He was completely immersed in this hunt. Not knowing how long had passed, Jiang Xi suddenly stopped. Turning around, the grassland in the illusory realm was filled with red-shelled earthworm corpses. Congratulations, you used 58 minutes to kill 100 red-shelled earthworms. You have passed the trial. A clear female voice sounded. Jiang Xi chuckled. He passed in 1 try. He was already prepared to try 2 or 3 more times. After exiting the 6th stage of the illusory realm trial, the prompt of the experience panel sounded in his mind, you have passed the 6th stage of the Ling Wan Road trial. Experience plus 30,000, there's still an hour left. Let's try the 7th stage again. Jiang Xi stepped on the 7th step of Ling Wan Road. The second requirement for the reward was to pass the trial of the 7th stage before August 15th. However, an hour later, Jiang Xi walked down Lingwan Road with a bitter smile. It was too tragic. According to the division of 3 stages, the trial monster of the 7th stage was the Herculean demonic ape again, but its attack was changed to the consummate realm of advanced martial skill fusion. This time, it also allowed Jiang Xi to witness the prowess of a high-level martial technique fusion perfection stage. Within an hour, he had died 12 times in the illusion trial. On average, 1 death every 5 minutes. The maximum number of Herculean demonic apes he had killed was 6 at a time. No wonder no one has been able to pass the 7th stage since the establishment of the training camp. Great perfection of the fusion of advanced martial skills. Jiang Xi yearned for it. The wind shadow step and the 9 elemental sword art that he cultivated were still far from reaching the perfection stage. If he could reach perfection in one of them, he might have a chance to pass the 7th stage. There were still 4.5 months until August 15th. He still couldn't relax. I should be the last one to return to the training camp. This month will end in a few minutes. My ranking should be able to rise by 1 place, right? Qiao Sheng dragged his tired body back from the wilderness. After walking to the entrance to Tianyuan district, he looked at the virtual projection of the heaven list with anticipation. 36th place, not bad. I really rose by 1 place. With this speed, I will definitely be able to rush into the top 30 by the end of the year. He revealed a happy smile. As a veteran of the training camp for 3 years, to be able to rush into the top 30 by the end of the 3rd year meant that he was definitely one of the top people in the training camp. The possibility of becoming an A-class warrior was extremely high. After looking at it a few more times, he planned to turn around and leave. However, at this moment, the virtual projection of the heaven list, which was updating the ranking information in real time, suddenly scrolled up. It was Jiang Xi's ranking information. From 38th place, it directly shot up to 30th place. Fuck. Qiao Sheng's eyes widened in disbelief. Compared to such a shocking scene, the fact that he had been pushed down to 37th place became unimportant. How is this possible? Did he go to Lingwan Road again? Qiao Sheng returned to his residence with a dumbfounded expression. He finally warned himself that he must not provoke Jiang Xi. Soon, other than Qiao Sheng, the other trainees also noticed the change in the heaven list. The camp town was once again in an uproar. In such a lively atmosphere, Jiang Xi quietly returned to Villa 101. The first reward. Jiang Xi dialed Tang He's number. Hello, Elder Tang. I have already passed the 6th stage of Lingwan Road. There was a moment of silence on the other side of the phone. Then, there was a hearty laugh. Ha, very good. I have already confirmed it. The reward will be sent to you later. After ending the call, Jiang Xi could no longer sit still. Fortunately, he did not have to wait for long. In just half an hour, someone knocked on the door of his villa. After opening the door, it was a person whose strength Jiang Xi could not see through. That person handed a black alloy box to Jiang Xi and then turned to leave. Jiang Xi did not pay much attention to it. His heart was completely focused on the box. After closing the door and confirming that there was no problem, Jiang Xi went straight to the training room and raised the villa's defense to the highest level. Then, he opened the black alloy box. The box was very big and heavy. It felt like it was filled with things. B-grade Fey medicine and B-grade martial artist combat equipment. Jiang Xi knew what was inside. After verifying his identity, the alloy box automatically opened. Jiang Xi's gaze was immediately attracted by a black B-grade killer shadow sword. He grabbed the sword hilt and gently swung it a few times. Its weight, toughness, and sharpness felt much better than the C-grade killer shadow sword. Beside it was a set of black B-grade martial artist combat equipment, a tactical communications watch, and a backpack. It was a real full set of equipment. With these, Jiang Xi could unleash his strength very well. After testing these equipment, it was time for the final highlight. The alloy box was divided into 2 layers. The top layer was the martial artist combat equipment, and the bottom layer was the B-grade Fey medicine. Xiantian City's official price was 28.8 billion new moon dollars. This was the amount that Jiang Xi could only earn if he hunted monsters in the wilderness for almost a year. An intravenous syringe was half filled with a pure white liquid that emitted a faint spiritual aura. Jiang Xi did not hesitate and directly used it. Soon, the spirit chi energy that was several times denser than the C-grade Fey medicine began to attack his body. It was very intense. Pu. Some of the blood vessels on the surface of his skin began to rupture, and his face became sinister. It was obvious that his body had also swelled up. What a strong spirit chi energy! Jiang Xi was shocked. If he did not consume this spirit chi energy in time, he would fall into the dangerous situation that he had been in when he had consumed the unripe dragon spirit fruit. Therefore, he quickly used the experience panel to level up. Increase level by 1000 experience points. Increase wind shadow step by 1000 experience points. Increase 9 elemental sword technique by 1000 experience points. As the spirit chi energy was rapidly consumed, Jiang Xi's strength was also rapidly increasing. Chapter 116. It was a close call. In less than a minute, Jiang Xi had used up all the spiritual energy from the B-grade Fey potions. After a careful calculation, he realized that he had used up a total of 10,000 experience points. It was equivalent to 10 C-grade Fey potions. Then, he looked at the increase in the experience points panel. Level, Marrow Transformation, C-grade 1375115800, Cultivation Method, 9 Primordial Heart Technique Martial Technique 9 Primordial Sword Technique, Combine, 1893130000, Wind Shadow Step, Combine, 14511400000, Force Exertion, 8, 52 Experience Points, 148937. Of the 10,000 experience points, he allocated 4,000 to his martial artist level. He allocated 3,000 each to the 9 Primordial Sword Technique and Wind Shadow Step. After I reached C grade, the experience points I can gain at a time has increased to 150 points. So, I'll need another 14 days to break through to B-grade martial artist. Jiang Xi smiled confidently. Soon, when he reached B-grade, would A-grade still be far away? Jianghai Prefecture's Fengxian, this threat that had been hanging in his heart, would also be resolved. After that, Jiang Xi kept a low profile and steadily increased his strength. Although he had passed the 6th stage of Lingwan Road, not many people knew about it. This information could not be seen through the Heaven Leaderboard. Only the training camp's chief instructor, Lu Kuei, and Genten Budokan's higher-ups could see the students' results on Lingwan Road. Therefore, in the training camp, everyone was only shocked by Jiang Xi's ranking. Otherwise, if they knew his results on Lingwan Road, they would not just be shocked. A month passed in the blink of an eye. It was June 1st. This was a very normal day for Jiang Xi. As usual, he had to go to Ruin 99 to hunt monsters. If there was any meaning, it would be last year at this time, he had participated in Pak Sun Province's Martial Science College entrance exam and became the first person in history to score full marks. It was worth remembering. At the same time, in Tongtian District, Genten Budokan Branch, Pak Sun Province early in the morning, Jiang Xing drove to Jiang Xi's villa to send Jiang Dudu to school. When they were almost at school, Jiang Xing asked, "Daodu, are you really not going to tell your brother? Let's tell him after the exam tomorrow." "It'll be a surprise for him," Jiang Dudu said with a grin. "I have a feeling that you and your sister will cause someone to have a heart attack one day." Jiang Xing sighed. This was because Jiang Dudu was preparing to take part in the Gaokao that day. Most importantly, Jiang Dudu had only been in high school for a year. What did that mean? The talent she displayed was only slightly weaker than Jiang Xi's. A few days ago, during the test at the dojo, Jiang Dudu's physical fitness had already reached the level of a potential martial artist. Jiang Dudu only chuckled. She was trying her best to catch up. Finally, she was going to become a martial artist. When she arrived at Beishan No. 1, she followed the school's martial arts students to Kitasanfu Martial Artists Association, accompanied by her homeroom teacher, Meng Shanjun. Since the Gaokao in Pak Sun Province last year had a genius like Jiang Xi, this year's Gaokao had attracted the attention of many forces since the beginning. At 10:30 in the morning, not long after the Gaokao started, a shocking scene occurred. Then, everyone was completely dumbfounded. It was a young lady who was obviously much younger. She was standing on the martial Dao testing machine. Soon, the test ended. A similar scene occurred. Beep, beep, beep. The martial arts testing apparatus flashed a red light with a rapid sound. Jiang Do, 99 points in martial arts talent. The black-clothed enforcer in charge of the test widened his eyes in shock. His voice echoed throughout the square of the Martial Artists Association. The noisy square quieted down instantly. On the stage in front of the square, the president of Kitasanfu Martial Artists Association, He Changxing, was obviously stunned. What was going on? 2 years in a row. 100 points last year and 99 points this year. He reacted quickly. In a flash, he crossed 100 meters and appeared in front of Jiang Dudu. How old are you? He Changxing was concerned about this question. This was because Jiang Dudu looked much younger than the other examinees, 14 years old. Jiang Dudu appeared very obedient. Jiang. Who is Jiang Xi to you? My elder brother. He Changxing took a deep breath and suppressed the excitement in his heart. This time, he did not laugh at the sky and cause a big commotion. Last year, because he was too excited, he roared so loudly that half of the people in the North Mountains Prefecture heard him. As a result, he used a lot of power to cover up Jiang Xi's information and did not spread it around. A 14-year-old genius with 99 points. In He Changxing's eyes, this talent was not inferior to Jiang Xi's. Good, very good. He Changxing nodded his head in satisfaction and returned to the high platform. Jiang Dudu calmly walked back to her homeroom teacher, Meng Shanjun, under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Meng Shanjun's face was glowing. Which homeroom teacher in Pak Sun Province, or even the entire Xia Kingdom was better than him? 2 years in a row, his class had students who became world-shocking geniuses. Compared to Jiang Xi, Jiang Dudu's astonishing performance was quietly known by some people. It didn't spread and everything was very calm. This made Jiang Dudu very depressed. She heard that Jiang Xi was very impressive last year. Why was the situation different when it came to her? At this time, Jiang Xi was hunting monsters in Ruin 99. Buzz buzz buzz, it was not the sound of a sword. It was his tactical communications watch that kept vibrating. Jiang Xi frowned slightly. He ignored it and continued to deal with a C-grade steel-armored rhinoceros in front of him. This steel-armored rhinoceros's defense was very high. The difficulty of killing it was comparable to a B-grade monster. After 10 minutes, he finally pierced the steel-armored rhinoceros's head with his sword and killed it. He quickly harvested the monster materials and left the place. Then, he hid himself in a tall building. Who is sending messages at this time? Jiang Xi saw that there were many unread messages in his tactical communications watch. He knew some of the people who sent these messages, such as Jiang Xinyue, the deputy headmaster of Tsukishin Budokan in Pak Sun Province, and Yan Gang, the deputy headmaster of Longxiang Dojo. However, he did not know most of them. He clicked on a few and was stunned. Jiang Xi, congratulations. Congrats, congrats. I'm impressed, Jiang Xi. Did I miss something? Jiang Xi was confused. It was not until later when he saw Meng Shanjuan's message that he understood what had happened. It turned out that Jiang Daodu had participated in this year's Gaokao and obtained a shocking score. A 14-year-old genius with 99 points. Then, he dialed Jiang Daodu's number. Soon, the call was connected. Jiang Daodu, you did something big behind my back. Jiang Ci said in a low voice. Brother, listen to me, Jiang Daodu panicked and explained. When she heard Jiang Ci's laughter, she immediately realized that Jiang Ci was scaring her. She was furious. If it were not for the fact that they were in the plaza of the Martial Arts Association, she would definitely yell at Jiang Ci. Of course, Jiang Ci was not looking for trouble with Jiang Daodu. He was just scaring the girl and reminding her to discuss with him before doing anything next time. Chapter 117. The two only chatted for a while before ending the call. Jiang Ci sat in the ruined building and did not speak for a long time. His heart was filled with surprise and also a heavy blow. The surprise was that Jiang Dudu had such a good talent and had a promising future in martial arts. Why was he so shocked? Because Jiang Dudu did not have any cheats. Even without cheats, her talent had caught up to his. What if she had cheats? It turned out that Jiang Dudu was a genius and had the life of a protagonist. Jiang Ci knew that he had to work even harder. If Jiang Daodu were to surpass him one day, then he would lose a lot of face. He looked at the experience panel. Not long after using the B-grade Fey potion, he had officially become a B-grade martial artist. Level, Blood Transformation Realm, B, 295120700, Cultivation Technique, 9 Elements Heart Sutra Martial Technique, 9 Elements Sword Art, Combined 2393130000, Wind Shadow Steps, Combine 19511400000, Force Exertion, 9, 19 Experience, 147,937. My actual combat power should be at A grade now, but it is still far from the peak of A grade. If I have an A grade Fey potion, I might be able to break through to A grade. Then, my combat power will also reach the peak of A grade. Unfortunately, the 7th stage of Lingwan Road is too difficult. The chances of getting the second reward are slim. Jiang Ci felt helpless. On April 30th, when he had just passed the 6th stage, he was quite confident that he would be able to pass the 7th stage within 4 months. But throughout May, he had tried many times, but his progress was slow. So far, out of the 100 monsters in the 7th stage, he had only killed 30 at most in one go. The difficulty of hunting would only get harder as he progressed. At this rate, it would be extremely difficult to pass the 7th stage before August 15th. However, it was impossible to give up. The word give up did not exist in his dictionary. With the experience panel, anything was possible. What was worth mentioning was that after becoming a B-class martial artist, his daily experience for each category had reached 200 points. The speed at which his strength increased was not slow. After resting for a while, Jiang Ci jumped down from the tall building. Like an eagle, he pounced on the monster in the ruins. Crazily hunting monsters, gaining experience and original points. Experience points were the foundation of everything. Raw points were a must for him to get into the heaven list. The higher his ranking on the heaven list, the more opportunities he would have to cultivate in Lingwan Road. He cultivated crazily, not relaxing for even a moment. Jiang Ci was nowhere to be seen in the heaven-level training camp. At the end of June, Jiang Ci's ranking on the heaven leaderboard had reached 25th place. At this point, no one was shocked anymore because they were all numb to it. Of course, they didn't know that Jiang Ci had actually reached the 7th step on Lingwan Road. If they knew, they would definitely be shocked. Reaching the 7th stage and being ranked 23rd on the heaven leaderboard were two completely different concepts. However, Jiang Ci was not satisfied with such results. because his progress on the 7th step of the trial had only increased from 30 Herculean demonic apes to 40. The improvement was very slow. This situation did not change until the beginning of July. Because Jiang Xi's 9 elemental swordsmanship, with the help of the experience panel, had finally reached the perfection of unity. The power output was as high as 10 times. Each sword attack was equivalent to 10 times his original strength. His attack power finally had a qualitative leap. Jiang Xi was convinced that just based on his attack power, he had already stood on the level of A-class martial artists. Then, his results on the 7th step of Ling Wan Road directly increased from the maximum of 40 kills to 80 kills. Correspondingly, this month, his ranking on the Heaven list also soared to 13th place. This ranking was maintained until the end of July. If it wasn't for the low number of raw points from killing monsters, he might have been able to enter the top 10. However, this goal was finally achieved in August. Relying on crazy cultivation and hunting, he directly rushed into the top 10 of the Heaven list at the beginning of August. To be specific, he was ranked 9th on the Heaven list. During this period, everyone described Jiang Xi as a miracle in the martial arts world, because they could no longer think of any other suitable adjectives. Since the great changes in the old era, the Earth had experienced 2 spirit chi recoveries. The first time was in the old era, in 2237 AD. In the starry sky outside the Earth, a second moon appeared. The spirit chi recovery thus began, and all living things evolved. The second time was in the new era, in the 23rd year of the new moon era. The world changed again, and all living things evolved on a large scale. The prosperity of martial arts also began from this year. Powerhouses such as Xian Tian and Li Baibai, who stood at the peak of martial arts, were also known by the world from this year. They eventually became invincible existences. However, the luck of the martial arts world seemed to have been completely exhausted by these invincible existences. Since then, no other martial artists of the same level as them appeared. Now, Jiang Xi's appearance made some people look forward to Jiang Xi's appearance. Perhaps, Jiang Xi could become a powerhouse on par with Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and the others. New Moon Era 93, August 14th. Because the New Moon Era's calendar was the same as the Old Era's lunar calendar of the Great Xia Kingdom, according to the time, tomorrow was the Mid-Autumn Festival. As a pure citizen of the Great Xia Kingdom, Jiang Xi had a unique feeling for this kind of festival, whether it was in the Old Era or the New Era. Every festive season, he missed his family. He definitely couldn't go back to the Old Era. Those family members could only be placed in his thoughts. And in front of him, the only family member in the new era was Jiang Daodu. However, what made Jiang Xi helpless was that they definitely couldn't celebrate this year's Mid-Autumn Festival together. The most important thing now is to pass through the 7th stage of Ling Wan Road. He wasn't affected by these emotions and could distinguish the priorities. Passing through Ling Wan Road was a big problem. Since the beginning of July, the number of monsters he killed in the 7th stage of the illusion trial reached 80, and he was stuck here. Then, after working hard for an entire month, this number only increased to 83. It seemed that this was his current limit. Jiang Xi was also very clear where the problem was. After the 9 elemental sword arts unification, my sword arts attack power is sufficient. The only problem is my speed. I can only maintain a speed of 300 meters per second, and it's very easy for the trial monsters to kill me. Maybe I should use the wind shadow steps with all my strength and display my fastest speed. The only risk is that once Feng Xian finds out, he will be able to confirm that I'm the murderer. Jiang Xi pondered, weighing the pros and cons. After thinking about it, he chuckled and shook his head. I'm going down a dead end again. Actually, with my performance over the past few months, as long as Feng Xian isn't a fool, he will definitely be able to confirm that I'm the murderer. It's just that he doesn't have conclusive evidence. It doesn't matter if my speed is exposed now. As long as I can pass through the 7th stage of Ling Wan Road's illusion trial, I can obtain the second reward in the contract, an A-grade Fey medicine and an A-grade warrior combat suit. With the spirit chi energy contained in the A-grade Fey medicine, there's a great chance that my warrior rank will reach A-grade. At that time, I won't have to fear Feng Xian. Even if my warrior rank doesn't break through, with my current actual combat power, I don't have to worry. Chapter 118. Jiang Xi quickly understood some things. All this time, he had been worried about the threat posed by Feng Xian. His mind had always been tense, so he did not consider these things. Now, he thought about it. That's not right. So much time had passed, and his strength was no longer the same as before. Back then, when he killed Feng Xiaoqing and the others in a fit of rage, he was still an E-class martial artist. But now, 8 months had passed. With the increase in experience points, he was already a B-class martial artist, and his actual combat power had reached A-class. What was there to be afraid of? Even if he could not defeat Feng Xian, he could still run, right? Moreover, I'm now in the Heaven Stage training camp. Even if Feng Xian had 8 times the guts, he would not dare to come here to kill me. Jiang Xi was full of confidence. He made an appointment to challenge Ling Wan Road at 8 in the evening. Today was the deadline for the second reward in the contract. If he could not pass it today, he could only say goodbye to the second reward. Tianyuan Pavilion. At this time, there were still a few Heaven Stage training camp students training here. After seeing Jiang Xi, they were only slightly surprised and greeted him in a friendly manner. They were already used to Jiang Xi coming to Ling Wan Road at night. Jiang Xi also responded to everyone politely, then went straight to the second floor. At this time, no one was using Ling Wan Road, so he went straight in. It was the familiar 7th stage of the illusion trial. Jiang Xi had already failed here 435 times. In the beginning, he died 12 times in an hour, but now, he died 3 times in 2 hours. Yes, this was a huge improvement. Today, he was going to pass it in one go. On the grassland, 100 B-class Herculean demonic apes had long arms like rods, and their attacks were comparable to those at the perfection stage of advanced martial technique fusion. Every one of them had A-class combat power. Jiang Xi took a deep breath and exerted force on his feet, disappearing from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in the middle of a group of beasts. Full speed burst. If he were to calculate, his speed was close to 9 times the speed of sound. It was 10 times faster than his previous speed of 300 meters per second. Although the Herculean demonic ape's attack was strong, it could not touch Jiang Xi at all. Boom boom, Jiang Xi's speed and the speed of his swordsmanship brought about continuous sonic booms. After the 9 elements sword technique reached perfection, every strike had a perfect rhythm and was as fast as lightning. Coupled with his wind shadow steps, the power of his swift sword was fully displayed by him. Each of his attacks killed a Herculean demonic ape. The Herculean demonic ape's huge body directly exploded under his super powerful attack. It couldn't be more dead. This was a combat power close to a PK class. He was only 1 step away from reaching the pinnacle of martial arts. Roar! The last Herculean demonic ape wailed as it was cut in half by Jiang Xi's sword. Congratulations, you've used 36 minutes to pass the trial of the 7th step of Ling Wan Road. Jiang Xi just smiled faintly and left the illusory space. At the same time, he obtained 35,000 experience points and the second set of rewards. When Jiang Xi passed the 7th step, the light screen of the heaven list at the entrance to Tianyuan district changed again. His ranking rose from 9th to 7th on the heaven leaderboard. The trainees in the training camp were indifferent when they saw such a change in ranking. In their subconscious, Jiang Xi was not worthy of their attention if he did not rise by 10 or 8 ranks. Even if they did not pay attention, someone else would. At the same time, in the manor of Mingxin Mountain, Jianghai Prefecture. Feng Xian's face was gloomy as he listened to the report of the leader of the guards, Old Yuan. 300 meters per second, 9 times the speed of sound, haha, Jiang Xi. Feng Xian suddenly laughed. As he laughed, his eyes suddenly emitted a cold light that shot out more than 3 feet. His voice became cold as he said, after hiding for so long, you think 9 times the speed of sound can save your life? Sir, are you going to kill him? Old Yuan asked. Kill? Of course I'm going to kill him. Feng Xian's voice was full of killing intent. Old Yuan's face changed slightly as he hurriedly said, but the situation is about to change. Isn't it inappropriate to make a move now? This is the most appropriate time. The more chaotic it is, the less likely some people in Genten Budokan will care about Jiang Xi. When the situation stabilizes again, there will be no more opportunities. Feng Xian was not blinded by hatred. Instead, he was even more clear-headed. Old Yuan did not say anything else and sighed in his heart. He knew that he could not persuade his master. Not long after, Feng Xian entered the prepared secret room and held a remote meeting with the directors of the Liberal Alliance. In an unknown cave in the wilderness, 12 virtual figures appeared one after another. Feng Xian, the situation is about to change. We have to be careful. Why are you holding a meeting at this time? The leading director in white asked. Do you still remember Han Ningxue from the Han family of Pak Sun province? Feng Xian threw out a bomb. Everyone's spirits shook, and their expressions became solemn. She is an important target of our alliance. But she is now in Genten Budokan's Earth-level training camp. We have no chance to make a move on her, the director in white said in a low voice. Have you forgotten? Next month is the Genten Budokan training camp's annual training in the Arcana territory. Feng Xian's gaze swept across the room. We have discussed this a long time ago. The Arcana territory is heavily guarded. Only our spies in the training camp can make a move, the director in white continued. But the chances of success are very small. Feng Xian shook his head. Why? Do you have another way? One of the directors hurriedly questioned. I want to make a move myself. I hope everyone is prepared. Feng Xian threw out another bomb. The others looked at each other. The Arcana territory was located in Genten Budokan's headquarters. It was not easy to get close to it. If they were not careful, they could lose their lives. Feng Xian, are you thinking of taking this opportunity to kill Jiang Xi? Someone suddenly asked. Yes, that is my intention. Feng Xian did not hide the truth. Everyone was silent for a while. After a while, the director in white said in a low voice, if you make a move yourself. Although this will offend Genten Budokan, as long as we can get what we want from Han Ningxue, we won't have to be afraid of them in the future. However, you have to remember one thing. Your primary target is Han Ningxue, followed by Jiang Xi. Lastly, if something happens, all your actions will have nothing to do with the Liberal Alliance. Everyone discussed some more details before ending the remote meeting. Feng Xian hung up the call with a look of disdain. A bunch of cowards. The Liberal Alliance was the martial artist faction with the largest number of martial artists in the world, but it was like a plate of loose sand. It was all because of these cowardly directors. Then, he revealed a complicated expression. Kunlun, I haven't been there for a long time. Jiang Xi returned to Tianyuan District's Villa 101 and dialed Elder Tang's number. Hello, Elder Tang. I have already passed the 7th step of Lingwan Road. This time, it was really silent. After a long time, Jiang Xi could vaguely hear a sigh coming from the other side of the phone. The reward will be sent over later, but I advise you not to use the A-grade Fey potion during this time. Why? Jiang Xi was puzzled. Wasn't it given to him for him to use? Something might happen on the night of the full moon tomorrow. You should cultivate in the training camp. Elder Tang seemed to be hinting at something. But tomorrow is the odd day. According to the training camp's regulations, I have to go to the wilderness to hunt monsters. It doesn't matter. No one can go out tomorrow. This notice will be sent out immediately. Jiang Ci thoughtfully ended the call with Elder Tang. August 15th, the night of the full moon. He vaguely felt that something big was going to happen. Chapter 119. Jiang Ci thought for a moment and told Jiang Dudu the news. After Jiang Dudu passed the Gaokao, she quickly absorbed qi into her body and became an official rank F martial artist. Jiang Ci used his connections in Genten Budokan to buy Jiang Dudu a set of cultivation methods and secret realms, including qi absorption, attack-type martial arts, and body-type martial arts. He also gave her a rank D martial artist combat suit. He did not give her a high-grade one because Jiang Dudu's current ability did not require rank D equipment. You must cultivate at home tomorrow. You're not allowed to go anywhere. Jiang Ci reminded her. Got it. I promise I'll stay at home. Jiang Dudu promised. Despite Jiang Dudu's promise, Jiang Ci only hung up after reminding her for a long time. After some thought, Jiang Ci informed Jiang Sheng and Zhang Wei. While chatting with the two of them, he made some discreet inquiries and came to a conclusion: normal martial artists did not receive any notice to cultivate at home. It seemed like the higher-ups did not want to spread the news. After doing all this, Jiang Ci thought that he should not have missed anything. Not long after, someone knocked on the door of his villa. The second reward had arrived. When he opened the door, it was the same person whose strength he could not see through last time. That person handed the black alloy box to Jiang Ci, but this time, she did not turn and leave. This person in a black robe was actually a woman. She said in a hoarse voice, "Don't use it yet. It'll be better if you use it later. Also, don't go anywhere tomorrow. Stay at home and cultivate." Jiang Ci quickly nodded in agreement. After the transaction, he returned to the house and carefully put away the rank A spirit medicine in the box. He did not use it immediately. Elder Tang and the delivery woman said almost the same thing. It seemed like something big was going to happen. Full moon night. After pondering for a moment, Jiang Ci climbed to the roof of the villa and looked up at the sky. In the night sky, two bright moons that looked like silver plates emitted the same gentle light, but they were not completely round. After looking at it carefully for a while, Jiang Ci frowned. Something's wrong. The moonlight seems to be brighter than before, and the two moons seem to be bigger. These were all minute changes. If one didn't observe carefully, they wouldn't be able to notice them. In the eyes of ordinary people, it was normal for the moon to grow bigger and brighter occasionally. However, after the two's reminder, Jiang Ci's intuition told him that something unknown must have happened. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began cultivating on the balcony. Half an hour later, the 9 Elements Heart Sutra had completed one cycle. You have cultivated the 9 Elements Heart technique once, EXP plus 10, the familiar panel notification sounded in Riverward's mind, and he suddenly opened his eyes. Something's wrong. The EXP gained from cultivating one cycle has increased. Jiang Ci's face was full of shock. Under normal circumstances, cultivating the 9 Elements Heart Sutra would convert the spiritual energy absorbed in one cycle into 9 EXP. But now, it was 10 EXP, 1 extra EXP. He knew very well what this meant. The concentration of spiritual energy between heaven and earth had increased. The revival of spiritual energy was triggered by the appearance of the second moon. Now that the moon has changed again, the spiritual energy has begun to increase. Could it be? Jiang Ci's eyes had a trace of horror. The world was about to change again. No wonder Elder Tang and the woman who delivered the package kept telling him what would happen but didn't say clearly what would happen. If such a thing was spread out, it would definitely cause panic, not to mention chaos in the world. Although the previous 2 revivals of spiritual energy had revived martial arts, they had also brought disaster to mankind. Mankind was evolving, and so were the monsters. During the previous 2 revivals of spiritual energy, there had been monster attacks all over the world, and countless human casualties had occurred. What about this time? For a moment, Jiang Xi was worried. Suddenly, he shook his head and said self-deprecatingly, "Groundless fears. If the sky collapsed, there would be tall people to hold it up." He wasn't tall yet, so it was useless to worry. Presumably, those high-level martial artists already had a plan to deal with it. He wasn't worried that Jiang Dudu would spread the news because she had no one to talk to. He wasn't worried that Jiang Sheng and Zhang Wei would tell others about it because when he told them about it, he also emphasized that they couldn't tell anyone. This was a mutual agreement of trust. Now, Jiang Xi was considering whether to think of a way to get Jiang Dudu to the training camp. It would be safer that way. After thinking about it, Jiang Xi rejected this idea. The prefecture city of the Great Xia Empire is safer. The camp town is located in the Highland Mountain Range, close to Kunlun Mountain. There are many powerful monsters in the wilderness. If a monster tide appears, he didn't say the last half of the sentence. He wasn't confident that he could protect Jiang Dudu's safety. On the other hand, the 7 prefectures of the Great Xia Empire were different. Since the establishment of the 7 prefectures, although they had been attacked by monster tides many times, the city had never been breached. The foundation. Jiang Xi thought about it, and after confirming that he didn't miss anything, he went to complete his daily training for the day. The next day, not only the students of the heaven-level training camp, but also the students of the 4 great training camps didn't leave the camp town. Everyone was cultivating diligently. Some of the students guessed something, and some of them knew something in advance. For example, Haning Xue, Shu Qiqi, Qin Feng, and other students from hidden families. Early in the morning, Haning Xue and Shu Qiqi sent him a message. The content of the message was similar to what Elder Tang said, reminding him to pay attention to what might happen at night. Although the warning was vague, it conveyed their goodwill. Jiang Xi thanked them one by one. For the whole day, the training camp was very quiet, and the atmosphere was a little strange. At night, night fell. Jiang Xi sat cross-legged on the villa's balcony, looking up at the 2 bright moons, waiting quietly. After an unknown amount of time. A second ago, it was still very quiet. Suddenly, on the plateau west of the camp town, the monsters in the wilderness seemed to have been stimulated by something. They all roared with excitement. But soon, the roars disappeared, as if they had agreed to it. The next second, the world changed dramatically. In the night sky, the 2 bright moons the size of silver plates grew at a speed visible to the naked eye 3 times, 10 times, 100 times. In the end, the 2 moons covered half of the sky. The night was as bright as day. At this moment, the whole world saw it. What shocked everyone was not only the size of the moons, but also something else. Whether it was a master at the peak of martial arts or the most ordinary person, they were all shocked by the scene in front of them. What is that? There are buildings on the moons. Could it be the legendary Moon Palace? Why didn't we see it with telescopes before? The whole world was in an uproar. On each of the 2 moons, there was a huge palace. The difference was that the palace on one of the moons was dazzling. It was a real palace in the sky. The palace on the other moon was in ruins, as if it was the ruins of the apocalypse. Chapter 120. The changes of the 2 moons lasted for about half an hour before they finally stopped growing. They quietly hung in the daytime night sky, shocking everyone. But everyone's attention was focused on the 2 palaces. If one observed carefully, they would find that the 2 palaces had many similarities. It was like the same palace in different times. Jiang Xi was also shocked, and a storm was set off in his heart. Could it be that the legends were true? But before he had time to think about it carefully, suddenly, a gust of wind blew between heaven and earth, and everything grew. It was now the autumn harvest season. Jiang Xi found that a pomegranate tree in the villa's courtyard that he had already plucked was actually blooming again. The third spirit chi awakening is here. Jiang Xi's spirit shook. He could feel the surrounding spirit chi even before he used the 9 Elements Heart Sutra. Cultivate. Suddenly, a rich spirit chi gathered around his body, forming a white spirit chi mist. What a rich spirit chi! This kind of cultivation was like spirit chi flooding the body. Immediately after, Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised to find that after the spirit chi entered his body, it was not immediately turned into experience points by the experience panel. Instead, it quickly accumulated in his body and became normal spirit chi energy. Just like when he cultivated in the past, the spirit chi he absorbed would eventually become experience points. This is because the spirit chi energy has exceeded the body's current absorption limit, and the panel is unable to convert it. Through his previous experience of consuming phase and fei potions, he concluded a pattern. This kind of spirit chi energy that could not be absorbed by his body could not be converted into experience points on the experience panel. Although the body can't absorb it, the spirit chi energy can replenish the energy consumption when I quickly improve. He carefully felt the increasing spirit chi energy in his body. Jiang Xi was multitasking. While cultivating, he silently chanted in his heart, increase level by 100 experience points. Increase wind shadow step by 100 experience points. There was no way to upgrade the 9 elements sword art because the sword art had been perfected as one, and there was no way to upgrade it. After Jiang Xi silently chanted, the spirit chi energy that had just accumulated in his body was quickly consumed, but not long after, the spirit chi energy that was like spirit chi flooding the body was replenished again. The spirit chi energy accumulation speed was not as fast as using C-grade fei potions, but it was endless. This was equivalent to someone constantly providing him with fei potions. In almost half a minute, he could increase his level and martial skills by 100 experience points. Jiang Xi's physique was constantly improving, and his mastery of the wind shadow step was also gradually increasing. A quarter of an hour later, he chanted again. Level plus 100 EXP. Gain 100 wind shadow steps experience. However, the strange thing was that this time, even though his physical fitness had increased slightly, the comprehension of the wind shadow steps did not appear in his mind. He quickly opened the experience panel to check. It turned out that the wind shadow steps had already reached perfection. Wind shadow steps, combine 400,004,0000, just like the 9 elemental sword technique, it had also reached a realm where it could not be improved. Therefore, Jiang Xi used all the spiritual energy in his body to level up. 5 minutes later, he stopped cultivating and frowned. Because he couldn't level up anymore. How could this be? Could it be that there was a bottleneck between B and a class? Jiang Xi silently opened the experience panel. Grade B, 20700207700, Cultivation Method. 9 Elements Heart Method Martial Technique, 9 Elements Sword Technique, combined 300,003,0000, Wind Shadow Steps, combined 400,004,0000, Force Exertion, 10 Experience Points, 130419, Sure enough. He had reached a bottleneck. This is a troublesome matter. What a good opportunity. Jiang Xi smiled bitterly. Just now, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to level up to a class martial artist, or even reach the maximum level. He thought too much. Fine, I'll cultivate and accumulate experience points. Jiang Xi quickly adjusted his mood and once again activated the 9 Elements Heart Method. However, he slowed down the speed of spiritual energy absorption. Otherwise, if too much spiritual energy accumulated in his body and he couldn't use the experience panel to consume it, it would be tragic if he ended up exploding. However, even if he slowed down, his cultivation efficiency was still terrifying when the Spirit Aura Revival happened and the Spirit Aura soared. This was because the Qi drawing technique he practiced was a high-level Qi drawing technique. Half an hour later, he completed a cycle of cultivation. You cultivated the 9 elements heart method once, experience points plus 1000, another half an hour passed. You cultivated the 9 elements heart method once, experience points plus 1000, until early in the morning, when the breeze on the face gradually subsided, the sudden increase in spiritual energy between heaven and earth began to rapidly decrease and hide everywhere. The 2 bright moons in the sky returned to their original size in the blink of an eye. All the astronomical observation centers and astronomy enthusiasts used their telescopes to observe the moons again. However, they found that the palaces on the 2 moons had also disappeared without a trace. Jiang Xi woke up from his cultivation and looked up at the sky. The 2 moons that had returned to normal hung in the western sky and were about to disappear. The sky was about to brighten. The 3rd awakening of spiritual energy was over. However, his intuition told him that there was a silent change that was still ongoing. The great changes of heaven and earth had just begun. Because the pomegranate tree in the courtyard was bearing fruit, and some pomegranates were already the size of eggs. Overnight, this tree completed the entire process from blooming to bearing fruit. Jiang Xi stood up and stretched. Although he didn't take advantage of this opportunity to raise his martial artist level to a class, he didn't have many regrets. Because later on, when he cultivated, he obtained a lot of experience points. After careful calculation, there were a total of 11,000 experience points, which was quite a harvest. Experience points balance, 141419, 1 night of cultivation was equivalent to 1 or 2 months of hard work. Just as he was about to go downstairs to wash up, his tactical communications watch vibrated. It was a call from Jiang Dudu. After the call connected, he heard Jiang Dudu whisper, "Brother, is it convenient for you to talk?" Wait for me for a while." Jiang Xi heard a trace of something wrong from Jiang Dudu's tone. His figure flashed, and from the villa's balcony, he quickly came to the practice room with extremely high defense. Then, he said softly, "Don't worry, speak slowly. I just tested at home, and I think I've reached C class." Jiang Dudu's voice was a little frightened. "What?" I said, "I think I've become a C class martial artist." Jiang Xi's breathing stagnated, and he realized the seriousness of the problem. From F class to C class overnight, it was faster than a pomegranate tree blooming and bearing fruit. If this spread out, it would definitely bring trouble to Jiang Dudu. Jiang Dudu was obviously aware of this, so she, who was not afraid of anything, was also a little frightened. In order to appease Jiang Dudu's emotions, Jiang Xi pretended to be calm and smiled. "This is a good thing, what are you afraid of?" "But I didn't cultivate last night." Jiang Xi was shocked again. This was serious, and he quickly asked, "What did you do?" "I don't know what happened, but when the moon came out yesterday, I heard someone chanting in a low voice, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, I was like this." "Brother, did I encounter a ghost?" Jiang Xi was shocked. Someone was chanting in a low voice. At this moment, he could no longer maintain his calm. However, Jiang Xi knew that he could not panic now. Otherwise, Jiang Dudu would be even more panicked. He composed himself and chuckled. "Didn't you always say that you want to catch 2 ghosts as pets?" "That's right." Jiang Dudu seemed to have suddenly reacted, and said in surprise. "Then what are you afraid of? If it's really a ghost, you can just catch it when you meet it in the future." "Hey! Who's afraid? Whose voice was trembling just now?" "Jiang Xi. Hee hee." Chapter 121. After some noise, Jiang Xi successfully corrected Jiang Dudu's mood. Finally, he exhorted, "You must pay attention to hiding your strength and learn to restrain yourself. Don't conduct any martial arts tests in public." He imparted all his methods and experience to Jiang Dudu. After all, it was truly shocking to go from an F-class martial artist to a C-class martial artist overnight. If Jiang Dudu's breakthrough was discovered, in Jiang Xi's view, she would most likely be in danger. Compared with truth, kindness, and beauty, Jiang Xi was more willing to consider the worst of people's hearts. People's hearts were unfathomable. This sentence could not be wrong. In addition to these, Jiang Xi had other doubts in his heart. Last night, someone was chanting softly to Jiang Daodu. It happened that the third recovery of spiritual power happened, and Jiang Daodu received a rocket-like upgrade and breakthrough. Could it be that Jiang Daodu was his destined daughter? In order to verify his doubts and guesses, Jiang Xi was not in the mood to wash up. He turned on the computer in the practice room and logged in to the Xian Tian forum. Sure enough, the forum was in an uproar at this time. They were all discussing the recovery of spiritual power this time. The hot posts at the top were still broadcasting strange events around the world in real time. After Jiang Xi clicked on it, he found that there were two special columns set up inside, the Xia Kingdom and Abroad. The Xia Kingdom, it looks like this: at midnight yesterday, the old tree bloomed. Shocking, sweet springs suddenly gushed out of the dry well of old Zhang's family in Chang'an. Breaking, outside Luo City, a 1,000-year-old ancient tomb was suddenly struck by lightning. Mysterious, somewhere in Shu Mountain Prefecture, a sword light shone. Abroad, the Peacock Country's Buddha statue shone. A century-old monk sat up in shock on the verge of death. White feathers are suspected to be flying in a holy land in the Holy Alliance. The pyramid is shaking. Genten Budokan was worthy of being the world's largest martial artist force. They could collect all the secret things that were happening around the world. Many kinds of real-time news were constantly rolling. Jiang Xi didn't see any truth in these amazing and exaggerated events. Because those pictures were magically edited, the person in the video seemed to be suffering from epilepsy. So far, no heavyweight powerhouses had made any comments about the recovery of spirit qi this time. Jiang Xi casually closed the fake news that was just for the sake of gaining attention and went to look for the things that he was concerned about. However, after looking through the news for an entire morning, he still couldn't find anyone like Jiang Daodu who had advanced a few levels in a single night. There wasn't even anyone who had advanced a single level. At most, he could find news about a few patients who had suddenly recovered. It was similar to the recovery of spirit aura, and their physique had been strengthened. If someone really made a breakthrough, they definitely wouldn't announce it. After all, it's a personal secret. Jiang Xi shook his head. Just like how he told Jiang Daodu to hide her strength. He had already expected this to happen. He was just holding on to a sliver of hope just now. Jiang Xi also asked Zhang Wei and Jiang Sheng to find out if anything had happened to them last night. In the end, he got a piece of news. Zhang Wei and Jiang Sheng's strength had both improved. Zhang Wei was level E before, and now he was level D. Jiang Sheng had been stuck at level E for almost 10 years. Originally, because of his age, his vitality had declined, and it was difficult for him to make a breakthrough. Unexpectedly, he also reached level D last night. However, the extent of their improvement was not as big as Jiang Daodu's. Jiang Xi hadn't come into contact with the higher-level circle of martial artists. As far as he knew, it seemed that Jiang Daodu had benefited the most from the recovery of spirit qi this time. Speaking of which, the secret manuals and equipment that I bought for Daodu last time seem to be outdated. Jiang Xi patted his forehead gently, feeling helpless. What a waste of money. However, he couldn't get high-level secret manuals now. Those were all worth hundreds of billions. He could only wait for the opportunity in the future to see if he could get them. As for why he didn't give Jiang Daodu the secret manuals that he cultivated himself, the reason was simple. Genten Budokan had strict control over secret manuals. They were not allowed to teach others privately. Once discovered, not only Jiang Xi, but even Jiang Daodu would be severely punished. Other than secret manuals, equipment was easy to get. There were ready-made ones. He had just received the second reward in the contract, and level a martial artist combat suit. Then, the level B combat suit from before could be eliminated. It was just right for Jiang Daodu to use. Well, I'll give the combat suit, backpack, and tactical communications watch to Dao first. The level B Shadow's Layer sword is too conspicuous and easy to be discovered. I'll give it to Jiang Dudu when she can show her true strength in the future. Jiang Xi quickly made a decision. After arranging everything and confirming that no one would notice Jiang Dudu's abnormal changes, he finally relaxed and let out a sigh of relief. He began to think about his own matters. Although it's a little regretful that I didn't reach level A this time, I still gained something. I reached the level B bottleneck, and the Wind Shadow step has been perfected. Overall, even if my combat power hasn't reached the pinnacle of level A, I'm not considered weak among level A martial artists. After I exposed my true speed, if Feng Xian is well informed, he will definitely take action. But now, I'm really not afraid of him. According to Jiang Xi's original plan, he wouldn't have to be afraid of Feng Xian's threat after consuming the level A Fey medicine. He didn't expect that there would be a third spirit Qi awakening. Taking this opportunity, he also completed this plan and saved the level A Fey medicine. I'll use the level A Fey medicine after familiarizing myself with my current strength. It just so happened that he had encountered a bottleneck. Jiang Xi speculated that with the help of the level A Fey medicine, he had a high probability of directly breaking through this bottleneck. According to the medicine's effect, ordinary level B martial artists would be able to break through after consuming the level A Fey medicine. August 16th. Like many other students, Jiang Xi didn't go out and didn't go anywhere. He stayed at home to sort out these changes. When he recalled the College of Martial Arts' enrollment expansion last year, Jiang Xi suddenly understood. Those higher-ups had probably predicted what happened last night. After the Spirit Qi awakening for the third time, the Spirit Qi in the world had become denser. Some people who originally didn't reach the standard to become martial artists had the opportunity to become martial artists because of this change. Therefore, the 4 College of Martial Arts had expanded their enrollment a year in advance. August 17th. Like other students with odd numbers in the Heaven-level training camp, Jiang Xi set off again for Ruin 99. When he left the camp town, he roughly observed. He found that many students' auras were more condensed, and some people's auras were obviously much stronger. It seemed that everyone had some breakthroughs, but not much. The extent of improvement was similar to Zhang Wei and Jiang Sheng. Therefore, under such circumstances, Jiang Xi's small improvement wasn't so eye-catching. Everyone was about the same. He stepped out of the camp town's gate and entered the wilderness. This was Jiang Xi's first time stepping into the wilderness after the Spirit Qi awakening. What changes would there be in the wilderness? He was very curious, and at the same time, he was more careful. Chapter 122. On the plateau, there was originally sparse vegetation and low trees. At this moment, however, they had become very lush, as if he had entered a primitive forest. However, what puzzled Jiang Xi was that the number of monsters in the wilderness had decreased by a lot. In the past, when he walked on this plateau, it was normal for him to see 10 to 20 low-level monsters in an hour. But now, after walking for half a day, he only saw 3 to 5 monsters wandering in the forest. When they saw Jiang Xi, they were so shocked that they fled immediately. After my strength increased, my realm is not so stable. My ability to control my aura has decreased a lot. Jiang Xi shook his head. He still needed some time to stabilize his current realm. When he came to Ruin 99, he casually found a few B-grade monsters and easily killed them with his speed and sword. It felt good not to have to hide his strength. However, after half a day, Jiang Xi vaguely felt that something was wrong. Ruin 99, which originally had a high density of monsters, seemed to have fewer monsters. By the way, where's the top-tier A-grade wolf howling in the moon? Jiang Xi remembered that in the past, when he hunted monsters in Ruin 99, he would often see the huge wolf howling in the moon howling at the sky in the depths of the ruins. Now, more than half a day had passed, and he did not even see the shadow of the wolf. This was because he was usually cautious and observed the environment. If it were anyone else, it would be difficult for them to notice these subtle abnormalities. I have to be careful. There must be something wrong when things are abnormal. In addition, the third recovery of spirit aura had just happened the day before yesterday. It was difficult for Jiang Xi not to think in a bad direction. Jiang Xi did not let go of himself because of the increase in his strength. He continued to be cautious and low-key. In Ruin 99, he only hunted monsters that he was confident in killing. At night, when the sun went down, he did not continue to fight and immediately returned to the camp town. Half a month passed under such caution, but nothing happened. Moreover, Jiang Xi also asked around. During this period of time, there were no major casualties in the training camp. Am I too cautious? Jiang Xi frowned slightly, shaking his head. He decided to continue being cautious. August 31st. Even though it was an odd day, according to the rules of the heaven-level training camp, regardless of whether the trainees had a single or double serial number, they were not required to go out to hunt monsters on that day. Jiang Xi heaved a sigh of relief. It was best not to take any risks. But things didn't always go as planned. On the morning of the 31st, Jiang Xi was about to go to the mountain water garden to practice swordsmanship with his teacher, Yulin. The heaven-level training camp sent out a message, notice about the annual survival assessment. After Jiang Xi finished reading, he patted his head. He had forgotten about this. He had read about the survival training on the Xian Tian Forum's heaven-level training camp board, but he hadn't paid much attention to it back then. Now that he thought about it, there was indeed such a thing. In Genten Budokan, apart from the Xian level and the yellow level training camp, the four major training camps of the sky, earth, black and yellow level training camps were more focused on basic education. The strength of the students was relatively low, so they did not need to participate in the annual survival training. Every year on the 1st of September, there would be a fixed survival training in the sky level and earth level training camps, which was equivalent to a part of the annual assessment. Tomorrow happened to be 1st of September. Jiang Xi clicked on the notice and checked it. Assessment time, 1st of September, 8th, duration, 1 week, assessment location, Jasper Lake Secret Realm assessment content, complete 7 days of survival training in the Jasper Lake Secret Realm. It was a simple notice, but it gave Riverward a shock. Is there really a Jasper Lake Secret Realm? Isn't this in myths and legends? Soon, he remembered the 2 palaces in the Moon Palace projection half a month ago. Jasper Lake Secret Realm, Guanghan Palace. The recovery of spirit qi is getting more and more interesting. Jiang Xi's eyes were shining. The things in myths and legends were appearing little by little. However, since the survival training location is in the Jasper Lake Secret Realm, it means that the Jasper Lake Secret Realm must have been discovered by the Genten Budokan long ago, and they have already figured out the situation inside. Otherwise, the higher-ups of the dojo would not have sent the students to the Jasper Lake Secret Realm. For a moment, Jiang Xi was looking forward to this survival training. Not only him, but the trainees of the heaven-level and earth-level training camps were also rubbing their hands, eager to perform well in this assessment. Because this survival training assessment was different from previous years. The recovery of spirit qi had just occurred, and everyone's strength had more or less improved. Naturally, they wanted to prove themselves after becoming stronger. 1st of September. 100 heaven-level training camp trainees and 500 earth-level training camp trainees, all fully armed, came to the gate of the camp town, ready to set off. Before setting off, Jiang Xi, Zhou Xing, Yan Chao, and some other heaven-level training camp trainees from Pak Sun province stood together and chatted casually. He had been busy with cultivation for so many days, and he had less contact with everyone. Now that he met them, he found that these fellow villagers had indeed become much stronger. Just as they were chatting, they heard a melodious sound of bells ringing beside them. Turning his head, he saw Han Ningxue looking at him with a smile. Classmate Jiang Xi, long time no see. Jiang Xi was slightly stunned. He found that Han Ningxue had changed a little. It was not that her appearance had changed, but that her martial artist aura had become stronger. Although Han Ningxue deliberately hid her martial artist aura, Jiang Xi still felt it with his sharp spiritual sense. The shock on his face could no longer be concealed. A-level. Han Ningxue had become an A-level martial artist. Han Ningxue, you found out. Han Ningxue was also a little surprised that Jiang Xi could detect her improvement in strength. Jiang Xi nodded slightly. A few days ago, with some external help, I became like this. Han Ningxue chuckled. She did not mind being discovered by Jiang Xi. Then she leaned closer and said in a low voice, "It's not just me. My cousin Shu Qiqi, Qin Feng, Ma Yu, and the rest of the people from the hidden families have all reached A-level." Jiang Xi grinned. What an honest girl. She told him all about the situation of the descendants of the hidden families. Thank you, Han Ningxue, for the reminder. Jiang Xi thanked her. If this girl did not remind him, people like Qin Feng and Ma Yu might do something bad when they reached the Jade Lake secret realm. After all, everyone had a grudge against each other before. Now, he could be on guard. Taking advantage of the time before boarding the plane, Jiang Xi looked around and found Qin Feng, Ma Yu, and the rest. These people just happened to be together. Relying on his sharp spiritual sense, he discovered that the aura of these people was indeed not very stable. Like Han Ningxue, they were all faintly emitting the aura of A-level martial artists. Among them, Ma Yu's aura was more solid. This was because he was a genius student ranked in the top 5 of the Heaven list and had A-level combat strength. When a martial artist reached A-level, their control over their realm would be stronger. Are we entering the era where A-level martial artists are as common as dogs? Jiang Xi thought to himself. But I still don't know what realm is above A-level. Isn't it a little too early to enter the era where A-level martial artists are as common as dogs? Chapter 123. After waiting for a while, a large transport plane flew over from the horizon. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of the camp town. The cabin door opened, and a person in a black robe walked down from the plane. Jiang Xi was a little surprised. Wasn't this the woman who gave him the rewards the previous 2 times? The woman in the black robe said to everyone in a hoarse voice, "Get ready to board the plane." Immediately, a total of 700 students entered the plane in an orderly manner. This large transport plane could carry a maximum of 1,000 people, so everyone didn't feel crowded inside. After boarding, everyone realized that other than the woman in the black robe, there were also 3 Gen 10 Budokan deacons, including Lu Kuei. Jiang Xi noticed that the 3 deacons, including Lu Kuei, were somewhat respectful towards the woman in the black robe. He immediately became suspicious. Where did this woman in the black robe come from? Just as he was deep in thought, Yan Chao asked, "Jiang Gu, do you want to form a team later?" Beside him, Zhou Xing also looked at Jiang Xi with some anticipation. Jiang Xi smiled, "No, I prefer to travel alone." A tactful rejection. Yan Chao and Zhou Xing didn't mind. They were just asking and didn't have much hope. After all, the difference in strength was obvious. Not far away, Han Ningxue's eyes flickered. She seemed to have similar thoughts. Seeing that she had the intention to move, Jiang Xi quickly closed his eyes and pretended to rest. Although he didn't have the intention to hide his strength, he didn't want more people to know his true strength. It was always good to have more trump cards. In this kind of survival experience, it was better to travel alone. Seeing Jiang Xi's reaction, Han Ningxue was a little disappointed and annoyed. She thought to herself, could it be that my sudden increase in strength made Jiang Xi feel the difference? So he deliberately distanced himself from me? Further away, Qin Feng, Ma Yu, and Qiao Sheng were sitting together. Qin Feng's eyes were vicious. He had seen the small movements between Jiang Xi and Han Ningxue just now. The A-class warrior aura emanating from his body became even more obvious, which was caused by his anger. You two bitches. I'll teach you a lesson when we get to the secret realm. Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng noticed the change in Qin Feng. The two of them looked at each other. There was no change in their expressions, but there was a strange look in their eyes at this time. The black-robed woman stood in front of the cockpit and said in a deep voice, "Let's talk about a few things." Everyone immediately focused their attention. No one dared to underestimate him. This included the students who had just broken through to Class A. This was because they had noticed from the very beginning that even though they were A-class martial artists, they couldn't see through the black-robed woman's strength. The black-robed woman didn't care if everyone was listening or not. She continued to speak. First, it is forbidden to kill each other. Second, there is a 5% mortality rate in the survival training every year. Third, there is no satellite signal in the Jade Lake secret realm. Therefore, all of your actions can't be monitored by the satellite. With these 3 points, the transport plane immediately became lively. Without satellite signal, how can we contact each other? What if we encounter danger? There is a mortality rate. It's said that killing each other is not forbidden, but in fact, no one will know if we really kill each other. After all, there is no satellite monitoring. Everyone was discussing and raising their doubts. Jiang Xi remained silent. The black-robed woman's words should be to remind everyone to pay attention to their safety, not to encourage the students to kill each other. But no matter what, without satellite monitoring, this survival training would be much more uncontrollable. When everyone was almost done discussing, the black-robed woman said again, "I will be guarding the edge of the secret realm with the 3 deacons. When the time comes, everyone will use the radio to communicate. The signal may not be too stable. But in an emergency, you can contact us. Therefore, there is no need to worry about communication. Although once you send out a signal for help, it means that this survival training will fail. But I hope that everyone will not force themselves. If you really encounter danger, your life is the most important." Everyone nodded. Rest assured, it was fine as long as they could contact each other. The transport plane's speed was very fast. After traveling at top speed for more than 10 minutes, it began to slow down. They had arrived at the Jade Lake secret realm. During the descent, through the small window of the transport plane, they could see that between the clouds and mist below, there was a huge canyon with no end in sight. On both sides of the canyon were lush primitive forests. "This looks like the Kunlun Mountain Range's Death Valley," someone exclaimed. As if in response to his exclamation. Suddenly, boom! A muffled thunder sounded from afar. Like everyone else, Jiang Xi could not help but hold his breath. The legend of the Kunlun Mountain Range's Death Valley was already very famous in the old era. Although this canyon was overgrown with vegetation, birds, and flowers, it seemed to be full of vitality. However, it hid a huge danger. It was said that if an ordinary person or animal entered, it would be very easy for them to get lost. In the end, they would never return. Moreover, once there was a rainstorm in summer and autumn, after the rain stopped, some strange phenomena would occur. For example, there would be many antelopes, wild donkeys, foxes, birds, and other animals' corpses in the canyon. There would also be some yellow withered grass and scorched earth beside the corpses. It was as if there was an invisible fire burning everything. The scene was too horrible to look at. Moreover, these phenomena were not accidental. Almost every time after a rainstorm, this scene would repeat itself. The Death Valley in the era of the Spirit Chi recovery was a little more treacherous. The most obvious thing was that this place was shrouded in clouds all year round, which looked even more dangerous. Could it be that the Jade Pool's secret realm was hidden in the Kunlun Death Valley? Jiang Xi was not the only one who thought so. Everyone had the same guess and felt uneasy. In the old era, the legend of the Death Valley was already shocking. Now that they were in the era of the Spirit Chi recovery, would it be even more dangerous there? Amidst everyone's apprehension, the transport plane did not directly land in the Death Valley. Instead, it stopped in an open area about 30 kilometers away from the Death Valley. The terrain here was very high, and they could see the situation in the Death Valley. Death Valley, which was shrouded in clouds, seemed to be separated from this world. It was somewhat out of place. Everyone got off the transport plane and lined up neatly. The black-robed woman's voice was hoarse and cold as she said, "Just now, someone said that this is the Death Valley." He was right. Everyone's expression changed. It was a dangerous place. As for the other one, you guessed it right too. The Jade Lake Secret Realm is indeed in the Death Valley. However, the Death Valley is just the entrance because the Jade Lake Secret Realm is not in this space. Not in this space. Everyone was puzzled. Could it be in another world? A cadet asked with uncertainty. Jiang Xi was also moved. Another space? Or what? According to our great Xia Kingdom's ancient saying, this is a grotto heaven secret realm. The black-robed woman's tone remained unchanged. Everyone exclaimed again and looked at each other in dismay. Grotto heaven secret realm. Another term that only existed in myths and legends. Alright, there is no point in saying more. As for the situation, you will have to personally experience it before you can truly understand the existence inside. It is now September 1st at 8 a.m. The survival training will end on September 8th at 8 a.m. Remember the time. Depart. The black-robed woman didn't say anything else. It was obvious that she didn't want to reveal too much. Chapter 124. A group of 704 people dashed towards Death Valley. In less than 10 minutes, they had covered a distance of 30 kilometers and were close to the clouds. But when they got close, all the trainees widened their eyes in disbelief. Between the clouds and them, there was an invisible barrier. It was like an inverted bowl, covering the clouds and mist inside. Outside the barrier, there was not a trace of fog. However, inside the barrier, there were clouds and mist that slowly flowed and rolled. What a strange scene. Quick, go in. The Jasper Lake secret realm is inside. The black-robed woman shouted coldly. Although the trainees were a little hesitant, they still stepped over the barrier and entered the clouds. Jiang Xi was a little slower. He waited until most of the trainees had entered and confirmed that there was no problem, then he took a step forward. Suddenly, the sky and earth spun. It was similar to the feeling when he entered the illusory space of Lingwan Road. This time, it was a spatial shift. After calming down, he looked around and saw that there was also an invisible barrier behind him. On the contrary, there were endless clouds and mist outside, but inside, there was a vast expanse of heaven and earth without a trace of fog. It seemed that the black-robed woman was right. The Jasper Lake secret realm was not inside Death Valley. That was just the entrance. This was the real Jasper Lake secret realm. Grotto Heaven secret realm, a different space. It was indeed mysterious. He did not know how Genten Budokan discovered it. Jiang Xi shook his head and quickly looked around. In front of him was a desolate wasteland. There was shallow grass as far as the eye could see, and no living creatures could be seen. If there are no living creatures, what kind of danger would there be? Jiang Xi knew that it was impossible for there to be no danger. Otherwise, why would there be survival training? He looked at the radio signal again. This range was relatively stable, and he could contact the black-robed woman at any time. After confirming this, he carefully advanced into the depths of the wasteland alone. Not long after the trainees in the training camp crossed the barrier of Death Valley. In another direction, there was a secret place about 300 kilometers away from them. A small invisible transport plane quietly landed. 2 people walked out of it. It was Feng Xian and the leader of his personal guards, Old Yuan. They were both wearing martial artist combat uniforms and carrying weapons as they rushed to Death Valley. Soon, they arrived in front of the barrier. The two of them adjusted the radio frequency. Feng Xian said, "After you enter, wait at the edge of the secret territory. I will inform you if anything happens." Old Yuan nodded. "Be careful, sir. But don't force it. You'll get your revenge in the future. This is the best chance, and also the last chance." Feng Xian's voice was filled with killing intent. After he finished speaking, he directly passed through the barrier and disappeared into the rolling clouds. Old Yuan sighed softly. Of course, he understood what Feng Xian meant. That Jiang Xi's strength had increased too quickly. They had already found out through their spies that Jiang Xi currently possessed the combat power of a peak B class or a beginner A class. Counting the time, it had only been a little over a year since June of last year, and he had grown from a martial arts newbie to his current level. This speed of improvement was too terrifying. If they waited another year, or even half a year, to what extent would Jiang Xi rise? Perhaps Feng Xian would not be a match for Jiang Xi. The reason why Feng Xian had taken the risk of being discovered by the Genten Budokan in such a hurry to kill Jiang Xi was because he was afraid of this. At the same time, on a snowy mountain that was nearly 4,000 meters above sea level at the edge of Death Valley, two figures stood on the cliff of a snowy mountain, overlooking the vast Death Valley and watching the slowly flowing clouds within the invisible barrier. One of them was a handsome young man. He was dressed in white and had a very elegant demeanor. He was White Cloud, who had suddenly appeared when the four great elders of the Genten Budokan were discussing Jiang Xi's new contract. When the four great elders saw him, they had to bow respectfully. This was because his strength was higher than the four great elders. Many years ago, he had reached the realm of A class or above. However, at this time, White Cloud was standing respectfully behind the other young man in black. The young man in black had a chiseled face and bright eyes that hid some vicissitudes of life. At first glance, one could tell that he was a very strong-willed person. He was the founder of the Genten Budokan, Xian Tian, an unpredictable martial artist. In the martial arts world, everyone only knew of his most glorious battle record. Back then, he had single-handedly opened up a human habitat that was second only to the prefectural city, Xiantian City. He was recognized as the strongest martial artist in the world. However, no one knew how strong Xiantian was, because he had never been defeated. From where they stood, they could see the trainees of the training camp crossing the invisible barrier. "Master, there are many young people from hidden families in this batch of trainees," White Cloud reminded. Xiantian smiled gently and said in a deep voice, "After so many years, those hidden families still haven't given up. They want to pry into my secrets. Do they think that by searching the Jade Lake secret realm, they can find the reason why Li Bai and I rose to power? Master, you have so many secrets. Moreover, we just searched the Jade Lake secret realm some time ago. These people want to pry into it. I'm afraid it's wishful thinking." White Cloud also laughed. "Why do I feel like you're mocking me?" Xiantian glanced at him. "I wouldn't dare." White Cloud quickly shook his head. After all the trainees had entered the invisible barrier and disappeared into the clouds, White Cloud sighed again. Compared to those ordinary trainees, these young people from hidden families have a deeper foundation. They reached A class after the Spirit Chi awakening. Xiantian's tone was disdainful. "It's just the vitality pill. The more they rely on external objects to improve, the faster they will be left behind in the future." Vitality pill? Is it the kind of medicine that can strengthen one's spiritual consciousness? White Cloud was surprised. After a martial artist's spiritual consciousness was strengthened, coupled with a large amount of spirit chi energy, their strength would increase rapidly. That's right. Only these hidden families that have been hiding for thousands of years have some in stock. However, it's only useful for martial artists. For people like you and me, our spiritual consciousness has already developed into spiritual consciousness. Consuming the vitality pill is useless. Xiantian nodded gently. White Cloud's expression was one of understanding. At this moment, his tactical communications watch vibrated. He had received a message. He quickly checked it, then looked up and said, "Master, the satellite just discovered that the director of the Liberal Alliance, Feng Xian, and his subordinates have entered the Jade Lake secret realm." Xian Tian was finally interested. He smiled and said, "Oh. This kid really helped us catch a fish. Master, aren't you worried about his safety? According to our intelligence, Feng Xian made a breakthrough during the Spirit Qi awakening half a month ago. He should have reached the peak of A-class. It's okay. He still lacks some training. This Feng Xian is a very good whetstone. He can sharpen his skills." Hearing this, a trace of helplessness flashed through White Cloud's heart. He always felt that his master would go overboard. Chapter 125. White Cloud had been his disciple for many years, and he was confident that he knew his master well. Usually, when his master said that nothing would happen, there was an 80% chance that something would happen. Feng Xian's strength had been tested through many battles. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to climb to the position of one of the 13 directors of the Liberal Alliance. In comparison, although Jiang Xi was talented, he was still young, and his actual combat experience was definitely not as good as Feng Xian's. Moreover, Jiang Xi himself wasn't an A-class martial artist, and there was a gap in strength between them. "I hope that junior sister He too can protect Jiang Xi," White Cloud thought to himself. He had already told He too a few days ago, but he was afraid that she didn't listen. Xian Tian seemed to have seen through White Cloud's worries, and chuckled. "Have I, your master, ever done something that I'm not confident in? Don't worry, Jiang Xi's movement technique is the Wind Shadow Step. There won't be any problems in the Jade Lake secret realm." Wind Shadow Step. Master actually passed this movement technique to Jiang Xi. White Cloud was very surprised. Yes, at that time, he had just joined Genten Budokan. "I gave him a discount, 30 million, Xian Tian said with a smile. White Cloud was speechless. 30 million, it was completely free. He recalled that many years ago, Li Bai and Senior Bai had asked their master for a few years and paid a huge price to exchange for this Wind Shadow Step from their master. Then, it seemed that they didn't manage to learn it, and changed to another movement technique. Don't be surprised. Jiang Xi is more suitable for this movement technique than Li Bai. This kid has only practiced it for a year, and he has already perfected it. That's why I'm not worried about his safety." Xian Tian smiled. White Cloud, Xian Tian stood with his hands behind his back, and his gaze turned to the Death Valley shrouded in clouds. He seemed to be able to see the Jade Lake secret realm hidden in another space through these barriers and clouds. "Jiang Xi, don't let me down." The clouds in the Death Valley seemed to have a mysterious power that teleported everyone to the edge of the Jade Lake secret realm. 700 people. In such a big place, it was very difficult for them to meet each other. Is this the Jade Lake secret realm? Jiang Xi walked for about 50 kilometers in this wasteland, but he still did not find any animals or monsters. Maybe there are no animals on the edge. Jiang Xi speculated, but he did not let down his guard. Just like that, they traveled another 100 kilometers, and the vegetation in front of them finally became more lush. There were even some forests. The environment here looked almost the same as the outside world. However, it was far from the immortal mystic realm that he had imagined. In other words, it should be the difference between heaven and earth. There was no comparison at all. The Jasper Lake mystic realm was one of the top grotto heaven mystic realms in the legends. Walla Walla, there was movement in the forest not far away. There were animals moving through the forest. I've finally seen a living creature. Jiang Xi's spirits were lifted. But in the next moment, he was shocked. Fuck. He saw a beast skeleton coming out of the forest. It was huge and complete. What was equally shocking was that this skeleton monster was actually emitting a B-class aura. What the hell? Roar. This beast skeleton could still roar and pounce on Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi calmed down and realized that the skeleton was only a B-class. He was not afraid and drew his sword to meet the attack. Crack. The A-class killer's shadow sword's blade landed on the skeleton's waist and directly cut off a few huge bones. The skeleton monster's movements were affected. It lifted to the right and unleashed a fierce attack. It looks like the skeleton of a tiger-type monster. Jiang Xi sensed the familiar attack. He moved his feet and his speed suddenly increased. He came to the left side of the skeleton monster like lightning. The killer's shadow sword also slashed out nearly 100 times in an instant. The power of the fast sword burst out. Voila! The skeleton monster's speed and agility were no match for Jiang Xi. All the sword slashes landed on its body and instantly turned it into a pile of bones. You killed a B-class undead creature, Wine Demon White Tiger. Experience plus 90, the experience panel did not disappoint Jiang Xi. He identified the species of the skeleton monster in front of him, undead creature, Wind Demon White Tiger. These two nouns made Riverward feel bewildered. It was the first time he saw an undead creature, but it was not the first time he saw a Wind Demon White Tiger. The second and fourth stage monsters in the Spirit Cloud path were all Wine Demon White Tigers. No wonder the skeleton monster's attack just now felt so familiar. Is Lingwan Road related to the Jade Lake Secret Realm? Is this the danger of the Jade Lake Secret Realm? Jiang Xi continued to move forward with doubts. He remembered the vague reminder of the black-robed woman on the transport plane. She did not mention that there were undead creatures in the Jade Lake Secret Realm. She was either worried that everyone would panic or wanted to give everyone a surprise. Either way, Jiang Xi was shocked. This world was getting more and more interesting. He walked another 10 kilometers. Bang bang bang. There was a knocking sound on the hillside in the distance. More than a dozen large skeleton monsters walked upright, beating their chests, and rushed toward Jiang Xi with great momentum. 1 A-class and 12 B-class. I can give it a try, but, this movement, could it be a Herculean demonic ape? Jiang Xi was very curious. At the same time, he also wanted to test his strength. Anyway, he was fast. If he couldn't beat them, he could run. Clang clang clang. Jiang Xi rushed up, dodged the attacks with his speed, and then slashed with his sword. To deal with these skeletons, he felt that it was more convenient to use slashing moves. After a while, a pile of scattered bones was left. He gained a lot of experience points. You killed an A-class undead creature, Herculean demonic ape. Experience plus 110, you killed a B-class undead creature, Herculean demonic ape. Experience plus 90, it really is a Herculean demonic ape. Jiang Xi was getting more and more curious. Could it be that Lingwan Road was brought out of the Jade Lake Secret Realm by the higher-ups of Genten Budokan? It was very possible. Since Genten Budokan could be so extravagant and use the Jade Lake Secret Realm as a training ground for students, it meant that most of the treasures inside had been plundered. He continued moving forward. His speed was not too fast, about 100 kilometers per hour. As Jiang Xi went deeper, the terrain began to change. There were more mountains and rivers. However, the number of undead creatures also began to increase, and their strength also increased. Most of them were A-class skeletons. Until now, Jiang Xi had not realized how difficult this survival training was. Maybe he was too strong. Then, he quickly shook his head and threw this thought out. He could not be arrogant. He had to be humble and cautious. In fact, Jiang Xi's thinking was correct. He was indeed too strong. This kind of survival training was not too difficult for him. Because this kind of survival training was facing Heaven Class and Earth Class training camp trainees. What was their strength? They were basically between D Class and B Class. Only a few trainees in the top 10 of the Heaven list had A-class combat power. And now, Jiang Xi's combat power was close to that of a top-notch A-class. He was already standing on another level. Why was there a 5% mortality rate in the survival training every year? Because these deaths did not come from killing each other, but from the undead creatures in the Jade Lake secret realm. Chapter 126. At this moment, at a small river less than 200 kilometers away from Jiangxi, a female trainee from the Earth-level training camp was washing her face and putting on makeup. It was obvious that she loved to look pretty. What the hell is this place? Jade Lake Secret Realm? It's worse than the wilderness outside. She cursed silently. But at this moment, ripples appeared on the surface of the water. The female trainee's expression changed, and she was about to retreat. But suddenly, a huge skeleton with a long tail leaped out from the water. The skeleton was extremely fast. It opened its mouth and directly bit the female trainee, dragging her into the water. In the clear water, clusters of blood quickly appeared. If Jiang Xi was here, he would notice that this long-tailed skeleton was very similar to the scarlet-shelled earthworm. And if one looked carefully, there were many such long-tailed skeletons in the depths of the river. The same scene was not the only one in this wilderness. Some careless trainees lost their lives because of it. They didn't even have the chance to call for help. Only those who were cautious had a higher chance of survival in such an environment. At the same time, in a valley, 3 trainees were gathered together. They were Qin Feng, Ma Yu, and Xiao Sheng. Xiao Sheng praised, "Young Master Qin's method is really amazing. It can actually teleport the 3 of us in close proximity." Of course. Our Qin family has a long history. These methods can't be seen outside. Qin Feng was a little proud. This was the method that his family elders told him before he came to the training camp. It allowed him to be one step ahead of others in various secret realms. Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng secretly looked at each other. Ma Yu gave a look. So, Xiao Sheng suddenly smiled and said, "Young Master Qin, before entering the secret realm, do you still want us to do what you asked us to do? If not, let's go our separate ways to gain experience. After all, this is a rare place to gain experience. I also want to see it." Qin Feng said coldly, "Of course we have to do it. There's no satellite surveillance here. It's a good time to teach those 2 bitches a lesson." "Then who should we teach a lesson first?" Xiao Sheng asked. "Jiang Xi is too vigilant. I can't put the tracker on him. Now I can only track Haning Xue. Let's teach her a lesson first." Qin Feng said with a ruthless expression before leaving. He had placed a tracker on Haning Xue. He also wanted to use one on Jiang Xi, but he didn't have the chance. Then, the 3 of them flew in the same direction. Night fell. What surprised Jiang Xi was that the sun rose and the moon set here as well. Furthermore, there were also 2 moons, exactly the same as the ones in the outside world. Although the Grotto Heaven mystic realm is not in the same space as the real world, it is still on Earth. Jiang Xi understood. Observing the surrounding environment, he found that he should be close to the depths of the Jade Lake secret realm. As far as the eye could see, there were towering mountains and precipitous ridges. Moreover, there were more undead creatures in the mountains. Throughout the day, in addition to the undead creatures of the Ape Clan and the Tiger Clan, there were also undead creatures of the Deer Clan, the Fox Clan, the Wolf Clan, and so on. However, he didn't see any living creatures. The so-called Jade Lake secret realm had become a place for the undead to live. Although the moonlight was bright, Jiang Xi didn't continue to move forward. Instead, he found a high place in the mountains and stopped temporarily. This place has a wide view and is very safe. It's not difficult to survive for 7 days. Jiang Xi took out the roasted B-grade monster meat from his backpack and ate it. Every day at this time, he had to eat something. It had become a habit. This was something he had specially prepared before setting off. He didn't expect it to come in handy. There were only skeleton monsters here. Not even meat could be seen. Soon, it was midnight. The sounds of fighting could be heard from afar, getting closer and closer. Jiang Xi woke up from his cultivation. He quickly hid his body and breathed very slowly. At the same time, he quietly observed the direction of the sound. Damn, is this girl poisonous? Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. He saw that in the jungle 1,000 meters away, Han Ningxue was being chased by someone. She was in a precarious situation. After taking a closer look, Jiang Xi was a little surprised. It was actually Qin Feng, and the others. Ma Yu was at the front, followed by Qin Feng and Xiao Sheng. These people were a little bold. Save? Or not? Jiang Xi hesitated for a while. Although he didn't have feelings for Han Ningxue, she was still a friend. He quickly weighed the pros and cons. Ma Yu and Qin Feng were now A-grade martial artists. Xiao Sheng was a B-grade martial artist. In terms of strength, if he joined forces with Han Ningxue, there would be no problem. However, at this moment, the situation suddenly changed. Ma Yu's speed suddenly increased. He slapped Han Ningxue's back and sent her flying. She fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. She couldn't escape. No intention to kill. Jiang Xi decided to observe for a while longer. Because Ma Yu didn't use his saber just now, Han Ningxue would be dead by now. He was less than 1,000 meters away from them. He could hear the conversation clearly. In the distance, Xiao Sheng praised, "Young Master Qin has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He actually has a way to block her communication signal so that she can't ask for help from the outside world." Qin Feng's face was full of pride. This time, he didn't say anything. He walked in front of Han Ningxue, who was lying limply on the ground, and sneered, "You bitch, you humiliated me many times. Today, I'll let you have a taste of humiliation." As he spoke, he was about to attack. Han Ningxue's face revealed a look of despair. However, Ma Yu stopped Qin Feng and advised, "Young Master Qin, the lesson just now is enough. If anything happens to her, we can't bear the Han family's anger. My Qin family isn't afraid of the Han family." Qin Feng insisted on stepping forward. Puchi, suddenly, there was a soft sound. It was the sound of a sharp blade entering a body. Qin Feng's eyes widened. He felt powerless and fell to the ground. His life was also fading away. In the dark, Jiang Xi, who was about to attack, was also shocked. What happened? Why did they suddenly have an internal conflict? The scene returned to a second ago. Xiao Sheng, who was standing behind Qin Feng, stabbed a dagger into Qin Feng's back without any warning. Even though Qin Feng was an A-grade martial artist, he couldn't defend against Xiao Sheng's sneak attack. Ma Yu changed his previous gentle attitude and mocked, "The Qin family's descendants are getting worse with each generation. They actually produced such an idiot. Why?" Qin Feng's eyes were filled with unwillingness. A-grade martial artists had strong vitality. They wouldn't die in a short time. "Ha, you should die with your eyes wide open. This Jade Lake secret realm is like a land of the dead. It's a worthy death for you to die here." Xiao Sheng laughed. They didn't intend to say the reason. Ma Yu squatted down and smiled at Han Ningxue. "You didn't expect this, right?" Han Ningxue also couldn't believe what had just happened. A second ago, they were still talking and laughing. The next second, they killed. Just now, when Ma Yu stopped Qin Feng, she still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. Now, her hope was shattered. Han Ningxue knew that Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng had killed Qin Feng. They would definitely kill her as well. However, she was puzzled. Why didn't Ma Yu immediately attack? Chapter 127. Han Ningxue was puzzled. Soon, Ma Yu gave her an answer. Ma Yu grabbed her right arm and shook it gently. A bell rang. He chuckled and said, "This bell was given to you by your grandmother, right?" Han Ningxue remained silent and glared at him. "I know even if you don't say it. Thank you for delivering the bell to us." Ma Yu laughed and carefully removed the bell from Han Ningxue's wrist. "Have a safe journey." After he kept the bell, he raised his knife and stabbed it toward Han Ningxue's heart. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sword light flashed out from the forest and aimed at Ma Yu's back. Ma Yu's expression changed and he immediately countered the attack. But the sword light was obviously faster than his counterattack. Ding! His knife barely touched the edge of the sword light. The sword light pierced his left shoulder and blood splattered. Ma Yu endured the pain and rolled on the ground. Then, he quickly got up. "It's you." His expression was ugly. Jiang Xi's face was full of pity. Students who were ranked in the top 5 of the heaven list were not simple. His sword strike was so fast that it only took 0.01 seconds, but Ma Yu was still able to react. However, although he did not kill Ma Yu, it was not a big deal. Because Ma Yu's arm was injured and his strength was weakened. "Let us go and we'll let her go," Ma Yu said in a low voice. Behind him, Qiao Sheng's dagger was pressed against Han Ningxue's neck. But, Jiang Xi did not hesitate. It was more important to save her. He was about to nod. Accident happened again. Han Ningxue, who was lying on the ground, suddenly stood up and punched Qiao Sheng, who was close to her. Bang! Crack crack, there was a series of bone-cracking sounds. Qiao Sheng, who had just broken through to B-class, had a huge dent in his chest. He flew out for nearly 100 meters and landed on the ground. He was already out of breath and could not be saved. Han Ningxue stood up and panted. She was an expert in fist arts. As an A-class martial artist, her strength was vividly displayed at this moment. This scene gave Jiang Xi and Ma Yu a shock. When did Han Ningxue recover her combat strength? B-class Fey medicine. Ma Yu's expression became extremely ugly. He saw a syringe of medicine at the place where Han Ningxue had collapsed. Qiao Sheng and Jiang, and Ma Yu, when they were not paying attention. Han Ningxue must have used the B-class medicine. The spirit chi energy contained in B-rank Fey potions was no longer effective for A-rank martial artists like them. However, it had a healing effect on the body. But the price was too high. One syringe cost 28.8 billion new moon dollars. Normal people could not afford it. Therefore, when martial artists fought, almost no one would think of this. Jiang Xi was also surprised, but he reacted quickly. He smiled and looked at Ma Yu. "Now, you have no bargaining chips." Ma Yu turned and ran. He turned into a blurry shadow and quickly escaped. "Want to run?" Jiang Xi exerted force on his feet, leaving a huge hole in the ground. His speed immediately increased, and every step covered a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers. Ma Yu was indeed an A-class martial artist, but he had just broken through and had not fully grasped the speed of an A-class martial artist. There was no way to escape. The two figures instantly disappeared. Han Ningxue was left behind. Her face was pale, and it was obvious that she had not fully recovered. "Ningxue, save me!" A weak cry for help came from the side. Qin Feng was still struggling. Qiao Sheng's sneak attack was fatal. However, he was already an A-class martial artist and had a strong vitality. There was still a chance to save him. Han Ningxue's face was as cold as ice. She walked in front of Qin Feng and looked at him with disdain. "It's my fault. Ningxue, please forgive me." Qin Feng's expression was anxious. "Goodbye." Han Ningxue was very decisive. She took Qin Feng's long blade and lightly slashed Qin Feng's throat. After doing all this, she turned and chased after Jiang Xi. She did not even look at Qin Feng. A light breeze blew past, and blood quietly flowed. It told those who came later that a battle had happened here. Qin Feng, who only had a trace of consciousness left, only had confusion and unwillingness in his eyes. He had just become an A-class martial artist and wanted to prove himself. However, he did not expect that his life would end like this. What made him even more unwilling was that he found out that Jiang Xi was so powerful. Even Ma Yu was not Jiang Xi's opponent. At the same time, Jiang Xi was chasing after Ma Yu. He had already chased after him for more than 20 kilometers. Since he had the intention to kill, then he might as well kill. In addition, when he was in the training camp, he had noticed that Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng had ulterior motives. They had been hiding something from him. In addition, Ma Yu and Xiao Sheng had mysteriously killed Qin Feng. He felt that these two people were not simple. Today was the day to deal with this threat. You can't escape. Jiang Xi took another step forward and crossed a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers. He was only 1 to 200 meters away from Ma Yu. In the next moment, he would be able to stop Ma Yu. Damn it, why isn't Feng Xian here yet? Ma Yu was extremely anxious. Before entering the Jade Lake secret territory, a director of the Liberal Alliance had contacted him and asked him to be a spy in the secret territory. His main mission was to seize the bell in Han Ningxue's hand and find Jiang Xi's traces at the same time. Therefore, when Jiang Xi appeared in front of them, he sent a distress signal to the director. Through this mission, he had basically confirmed that the director was Feng Xian. Behind him, Jiang Xi caught up. Kill! Jiang Xi's eyes shone with a cold light. With a flash of his sword, he stabbed toward Ma Yu's back. Clang! Ma Yu turned around and blocked the sword with his saber. However, at the same time, he was pushed back dozens of meters by the power of the sword. Jiang Xi, don't kill me. I can tell you a secret. Ma Yu said loudly. What secret? Promise not to kill me first. Okay. Ma Yu breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly said, Feng Xian thinks you're the murderer of his son. This time, he also came to the Jade Lake secret territory. Jiang Xi's expression became slightly more serious. He nodded and said, thank you. No need, puff. A head flew into the sky. The sword was as fast as lightning. Taking advantage of Ma Yu's relaxed state, it swept past his neck. Sorry, my sword didn't listen to me. Jiang Xi sheathed his sword. He didn't leave immediately. Instead, he bent down and rummaged through Ma Yu's backpack. He was looking for the bell that Ma Yu had taken from Han Ningxue. That thing seemed to be very important. While rummaging through the backpack, he also muttered to himself. Feng Xian actually came. This was something he didn't expect. He thought that Feng Xian would take advantage of his year-end holiday to attack him. He didn't expect him to come at this time. It seemed that Feng Xian really hated him to the core. I have to be more careful in the next few days. Jiang Xi raised his vigilance. With his current strength, he didn't have much confidence in defeating Feng Xian. Found it. Jiang Xi saw the bell in Ma Yu's backpack and was about to reach out to grab it. At this moment, suddenly. Boom boom boom. Sonic booms sounded in the distance. Jiang Xi felt a stabbing pain in the back of his heart. His sharp spiritual sense told him that it was dangerous. Chapter 128. Without hesitation, Jiang Xi threw himself to the ground. Whoosh! A sharp blade landed on the trunk of a large tree in front of him. Crack! The thick tree trunk was split into two. Who's there? Jiang Xi was shocked. His figure flashed, and he reappeared 200 to 300 meters away. He saw a thin middle-aged man suddenly appear where he was just standing. Feng Xian. Jiang Xi's eyes narrowed slightly. Ever since Feng Xian had issued that huge bounty, he had specifically searched for information about Feng Xian and knew what he looked like. He really came at the drop of a hat. Feng Xian's face was gloomy, and his killing intent was obvious. He looked like he wanted nothing more than to skin Jiang Xi alive. The two of them did not exchange any words. Their actions and expressions reflected everything. Run! Jiang Xi did not try to be brave. He turned around and ran at top speed. In an instant, he disappeared into the forest. Strangely, Feng Xian did not immediately chase after him. He first bent down and did the same action as Jiang Xi. He rummaged in Ma Yu's backpack for a while and found the bell that Jiang Xi did not have time to take. You killed my son. You can't escape. Feng Xian moved his feet and chased after Jiang Xi. Every step was 3,000 to 4,000 meters. He was actually faster than Jiang Xi by 3 minutes. Jiang Xi sprinted through the forest. In just 10 seconds, he had covered 20 to 30 kilometers. His speed was already very fast, but his expression was very solemn. Too sudden. Feng Xian came too quickly. It was beyond his expectations. In the martial arts world of Jianghai Prefecture and even the martial arts world of Desia, Feng Xian's presence was very low and he was relatively mysterious. Everyone only knew that Feng Xian was an A-class martial artist, but did not know which martial artist faction he belonged to. Jiang Xi only learned that Feng Xian was one of the 13 most powerful directors of the Liberal Alliance after he arrived at the heaven-level training camp. To be able to sit in this position, his strength was naturally not weak. In order to find out more about Feng Xian, Jiang Xi had asked his teacher, Yulin, about Feng Xian. Yulin's evaluation was that he was an expert between the second and third ranks of the martial arts world. Jiang Xi also had some understanding of A-class martial artists. The strength of an A-class warrior was further divided into 4 tiers. The first group was naturally Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and the others. Their strength had surpassed the level of martial artists. The second group, such as the 4 elders of Genten Budokan, were at this level. They were top-notch A-class martial artists and were only a step away from surpassing A-class. The third group, such as the 12 deacons of Genten Budokan and the presidents of the martial arts associations of the prefectures of Desia, had combat strength close to top-notch A-class. Although they could enter the A-class realm at any time, their actual combat strength was 1 level lower than top-notch A-class. The fourth group were ordinary A-class martial artists. People at this level included the instructors of the heaven-level training camp and the masters of the Genten Budokan branches. Now, there should be another 5th group, which included A-class martial artists like Hanning Xue and Qin Feng who had advanced with the help of external forces, as well as geniuses who were not A-class martial artists but barely possessed A-class combat strength. Jiang Xi knew that his strength should be slightly stronger than the 4th group, but slightly weaker than the 3rd group. Based on this calculation, he was a whole level lower than Feng Xian, perhaps even more. This was because this did not take into account whether Feng Xian had made a breakthrough during this spirit qi revival. Had he reached top-notch A-class? Therefore, when he had learned from Ma Yu that Feng Xian had also come to the Jade Lake secret realm, he had planned to escape. Jiang Xi's plan was to first hide from this pursuit and then develop in a low-key manner for 2 or 3 months. When he had truly become an A-class martial artist and his strength had surpassed Feng Xian, he would then make a fuss about these matters. However, he had not expected that Feng Xian would come as he wished and not give him a chance to develop at all. This is going to be troublesome. Jiang Xi frowned. Whoosh whoosh, under the night sky, a whistling sound came from the forest behind him. Feng Xian had caught up. He's faster than me. Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat. Speed was his forte, but at this time, he had lost his advantage in speed. There was no way he could fight. With this speed, he must have reached top-notch A-class. What should I do? Am I going to have a breakthrough again? Jiang Xi's mind raced. This time, the situation was somewhat different. If he had a breakthrough and failed to kill Feng Xian, then his secret would be exposed to Feng Xian. I can't escape even if I don't use it. Jiang Xi knew that he had no other choice. While he was thinking, his footsteps did not stop. Using the wind shadow steps to the extreme, his speed became faster and faster. His whole body became even more blurry, leaving behind afterimages in the night sky. Under the illumination of the twin moons, the mountains appeared rather tranquil. Occasionally, the roars of the undead creatures could be heard. Boom! Suddenly, in the depths of the mountains, clusters of dark clouds gathered. Strong winds blew, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The dark clouds covered the twin moons, and the Jasper Lake secret realm became dusky. Only the lightning in the distance released some light, cutting across the night sky time and time again. There. Jiang Xi had a feeling that there was something in the depths of the mountains that was attracting him. There was a chance for change there. As if he was confirming something, his footwork suddenly became even more mysterious, and his speed increased a little. Did I have a breakthrough in the wind shadow steps? Jiang Xi was slightly stunned. He looked at the experience panel. Wind shadow steps, combine 400,004,0000. There was no breakthrough. That's not right. It seems that the environment has changed, and it's more suitable for the wind shadow steps. The wind around him became stronger, fitting the essence of the wind shadow steps. It was extremely fast and erratic. Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised and puzzled. Soon, he crossed the mountains. About 10 kilometers behind him, Feng Xian's face became more and more gloomy. His speed increased. Just now, he could still see Jiang Xi's tracks, and he was getting closer and closer to Jiang Xi now. The distance between him and Jiang Xi was slowly increasing. Immediately after, he also saw the abnormality in the depths of the mountains. Dense lightning and dark clouds. What a strange scene. Is he running in that direction? Feng Xian found another trace of Jiang Xi. He did not think too much about it. His attention was completely attracted by Jiang Xi's hatred. His footsteps moved, and he quickly chased after him. A minute later, Jiang Xi crossed another mountain and finally saw the situation in the distance. He saw that between the mountains and under the dark clouds, there was a huge mountain that occupied an extremely large area. It towered into the clouds as if it was going to pierce the sky. The upper half of the mountain was shrouded in fog, and the situation inside could not be seen clearly. Only the lower half could be seen. The lightning that looked like knives and swords kept falling, as if it was going to split the mountain in half. This mythical scene shocked Jiang Xi. Moreover, he realized that as he approached the mountain, the feeling in his heart became clearer, and his spirit sense became sharper. What exactly is on the mountain? Jiang Xi decided to give it a try. If this continued, he would definitely be caught by Feng Xian in the end. In just a moment, he arrived in front of the mountain of unknown height. Standing at the foot of the mountain seemed to be emitting a powerful spiritual pressure, making people involuntarily feel awe. Jiang Xi's gaze was attracted by a huge stone tablet at the foot of the mountain. On it were written ancient words that clearly did not belong to this era. But the strange thing was that he could understand the words at a glance. It was as if a message was conveyed through his spiritual consciousness. Tongtian Mountain. What a domineering name. However, these three words reminded Jiang Xi of his home in Pak Sun Province, Tongtian District. The martial artist districts of the various Genten Budokan prefectural martial arts hall branches all had this name. It was obvious that the higher-ups of Genten Budokan had borrowed the two words, Tongtian. Chapter 129. The upper half of the towering sky-span mountain was shrouded in thick fog. In the sky, there were patches of dark clouds. Dense lightning fell continuously, making this huge mountain peak look extremely dangerous. If one were to rashly climb the mountain, they would easily be struck by lightning. Boom boom boom, in the forest behind him, there was a faint sound of sonic booms. It was Feng Xian approaching. These lightning bolts seem dense, but there are gaps. As long as I'm careful and don't get hit, there won't be a problem. Jiang Xi did not hesitate. Relying on his intuition, he climbed the mountain against the lightning. Soon, when he stepped onto the sky-span mountain, a shocking scene appeared. Those lightning bolts seemed to be unable to hit him. A few of them just happened to land a meter away from him. If it was an exception, it would be fine. But when Jiang Xi walked for more than 1,000 meters, he turned around. He turned around to take a look. The path he had just taken was completely covered by lightning. Although he was puzzled, the current situation was advantageous to him. These lightning bolts helped him hide his tracks. After carefully walking another 2,000 to 3,000 meters, the situation was still the same. Jiang Xi was slightly relieved. His climbing speed increased slightly. A moment later, he arrived at the mountainside. This seemed to be a boundary point of the sky-span mountain. There was no lightning on the upper half of the sky-span mountain, only fog. Standing here and looking down the mountain, one could clearly see that the lightning bolts seemed to never stop pouring down, covering the lower half of the mountain. I wonder if Feng Xian has caught up. I wish him good luck. Jiang Xi continued climbing and entered the fog. The fog was pervasive and visibility was very low. After reaching this position, he realized that the inexplicable attraction was getting stronger and stronger, especially when he used Wind's shadow step with all his might. At the top of the mountain, Jiang Xi followed his intuition and kept moving forward. After walking for about 10 kilometers, they finally came to a stop. Suddenly, he heard the sound of water ripples. It was quiet and serene, making one calm down unconsciously. There's a spring on the mountain. Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat after climbing for more than 100 steps, the terrain suddenly opened up. He had reached the top of the mountain. Could this be the Jade Lake? Jiang Xi's eyes widened. There was an endless lake in front of them. The surface of the lake rippled as wisps of mist rose and filled the air. So the fog is coming from here. Jiang Xi came to a realization and looked around. He could see that there were many small peaks by the lake. In the distance, a mountain peak about 100 meters high caught his attention. That was where the inexplicable attraction came from. Jiang Xi's figure flashed, and arrived in front of the peak. At this time, Feng Xian followed Jiang Xi's trail and arrived in front of Mount Tongtian. He was also stunned by this mythical scene. He looked at it for a while. Sky-piercing mountain. The Jade Lake secret realm actually has such a magical place. It seems like the rumors back then were true. Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and the others obtained a fortuitous encounter on a mountain in the Jade Lake secret realm and rose to prominence. Now that I've also found this mountain, it seems like I have the same opportunity. Feng Xian's eyes flickered. He was very tempted. He had just broken through some time ago, and he was only a step away from the realm of A-class and above. Once he obtained an opportunity, he could break through again and become a first-tier elite. However, the lightning that kept falling made Feng Xian hesitate. It'll be troublesome if I get hit by a few of such dense lightning bolts. However, since that kid is willing to brave the lightning and rush up, I'm not afraid. Then, he turned into a blurry shadow and instantly stepped on the path of climbing the mountain. However, he had only taken a few steps. Boom! A bolt of lightning as thick as a thumb landed on his head, causing his body to freeze. What a powerful force! It's not an ordinary lightning bolt. Feng Xian was not too concerned. Being hit by a few lightning bolts occasionally was within his acceptable range. He was very confident that with the strength of a top-tier A-class martial artist, he could withstand the power of these lightning bolts. He took a few more steps. Boom! Another bolt of lightning struck his head. His body froze, and this time, his body was clearly a little numb. It's okay, it's okay. I can still, boom. Before he could finish his sentence, another bolt of lightning struck. Feng Xian's face was a little black. Some of it was left behind by the lightning, but some of it was really black. Even I'm affected by such powerful lightning bolts. Although that kid's combat power is strong, he's only a B class. His body is definitely not as strong as mine. Maybe he's already been struck to death by such dense lightning bolts. Feng Xian thought about it from a different perspective and felt much better. Boom. Boom. Next, Feng Xian was struck by lightning for almost every 3 steps he took. I can only use my speed to rush over. Feng Xian sprinted up the mountain. Then, he realized that the faster he was, the more frequent the lightning bolts were. Finally, he reached the halfway point of the mountain, the boundary between the fog and the lightning. There was lightning at the bottom of the mountain, and fog at the top. Feng Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Wisps of green smoke rose from his explosive hairstyle. If it wasn't for the strong body of an A-class martial artist, he might have already turned into charcoal. He looked at the lightning bolts that kept falling from the sky and confirmed his speculation. I haven't seen any trace of that kid along the way. He must have been buried by the lightning. Then, Feng Xian made some adjustments and recovered some strength. Looking at the fog on the mountain, he said to himself excitedly, now, let's start looking for my opportunity. His figure quickly disappeared into the fog on the upper half of Sky Span Mountain. Along the way, he didn't encounter any danger and smoothly reached the top of the mountain. This is the Jade Lake. When Feng Xian saw the lake at the top of the mountain, he was stunned. But then, he was attracted by the things beside the lake. 100-year spirit item. No, there's also a 1,000-year spirit item. Feng Xian was ecstatic. In the hazy fog in the distance, in an open space that looked like a vegetable garden, there were 5 plants that emitted a spiritual aura swaying in the wind. 3 of them were about a meter tall and were 100-year spirit items. They all bore fruits and looked very tempting. The other 2 were more than 2 meters tall and were 1,000-year spirit items. They also bore fruits and emitted a stronger spiritual aura. The distance between each spirit item was about 400 to 500 meters. The chances of an A-class martial artist breaking through after consuming a 100-year spirit item are very small. But if it's a 1,000-year spirit item, I can definitely break through to the A-class realm. This is my opportunity. Feng Xian's heart thumped. Excited. However, he didn't act rashly. His many years of martial arts experience told him that wherever there were treasures, there would definitely be danger. The simplest way. He picked up a stone from the lake and threw it behind one of the 100-year spirit items. Whoosh! The stone was very fast and disappeared into the fog. Roar! A huge figure roared and pounced out of the fog. Its sparkling white bones indicated its identity. It was an undead creature.